What up? Hey all. I am coming from my beach office in beautiful Margate, New Jersey. At some point today, I'm going to walk you outside to see what my scene is out there because we might take a walk on. I figured when we get a little slower
Okay.
because I could do that. I could do that because I'm just a couple feet from the beach, and so we are here. We are now ready to go. It is UFA day, and we got a lot going on already. And I'm going to get into a bunch of things that I've been working on. And my gosh, I need more. I don't think I've ever needed more RAM than I've needed this year. Like this is like, I mean, people are. It's easy to sit back and say like when you look at Twitter, like nothing's happening, right? But the
There's
reality
a
is,
little happening. There's a few signings.
No,
there's
nothing.
so much happening.
Nothing happening was what happened in Nashville. Because
yes, Nashville was nice. Yeah, as far as trades go, I agree with you.
Thank you. Just got an order of blintzes.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Linces delivered to you in person. Nice.
So let me say this. Let me.
My internet's slow or something because you guys are reacting slowly to me. I'm sorry.
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
I was saying before. You're something
Okay,
wrong.
I'm gonna try a better connection. I'm gonna try a different connection. Okay, so
all right.
Okay.
I'll be back.
All right. Well, while Ike is doing that, we'll just talk briefly about Nashville. I have to say I liked Nashville. I liked the food was fantastic. The hot chicken was great.
Mm-hmm.
I did not wimp out, and I got the second hottest hot chicken there is, which was damn hot. I guess the one is like, what the cluck are you talking about?
Yeah, I got mild.
Yeah, no. Russ is a wimp. No, but but
that's not my thing.
Honestly, so with somebody with stomach issues, if you got like damn hot, that was risky. Me, like I'm conditioned because of suicide wings in Buffalo. I like things hot, not ridiculously so, but I like things hot. And it was pretty damn good. I could do without the coleslaw on top of the hot chicken, but whatever. Anyway, so the hot chicken, thumbs up. The barbecue at Martin's, way thumbs up. Russ had a good turkey sandwich. I did ribs and brisket, and it was a beautiful thing. We had a couple good breakfast places.
The thing about the turkey, like the smoked turkey, while it was tremendous. It was really top notch. There are some Texas barbecue places that match that. There are.
Yeah. So just to let everybody know, once that gets back on, we may have Anthony Mangione. We may have Jan Levine. We definitely will have Kevin Allen for a while.
And it might rain, and
I might get a date someday. But
I could talk about my previous career as an American Gladiator, like whatever.
Jesus.
That's a great documentary, by the way. I'm halfway into it.
A message from. I
don't care.
Let me go through this before we talk about American Gladiators. I just got a message from Dan Petru, who's going to be joining us. So yeah, we're going to have some people. We have some people on the show, and it should be. I don't know how. Okay, let's just say this. I don't know how busy it's going to be. Things could sort of take a little while to evolve. And that's the whole situation. We thought there was going to be some movement at the draft, and there was trades the day before, and there were trades the day after. But as we talked about, Russ, there were not a lot of trade. There were none on draft day on the first round.
No, and that was fine. I was okay with that. I was happy about that. No worries for me. Like that was fine. Talk about the prospects. Let's talk about the guys that are there. Let's not talk about like fourth liners that got traded.
Yeah, since we haven't been on since the draft, we'll just touch on a few things. Everybody expected the top four centers to go top four picks. Carlson going to Anaheim was a little bit of a surprise, but I heard Elliot Friedman talking about it this morning, and he said that apparently after the lottery, Verbeek was essentially Carlson was the guy, and he just didn't publicize it. Columbus, I'm sure, was ecstatic at getting Fantilli at 3, and they're going to be the
real happy team in the end result, I think.
Yeah, and they got Gavin Brindley in the second round, so they got the Michigan Twins. And then Will Smith at 4. Then the fun began because Ryan, and I heard, people were sort of giggling at what happened with Carey Price, and I've had sort of stage fright before, like in college when I was doing an intro to broadcasting class. I was a little fearful of talking in front of a crowd. Now I wouldn't give a crap less because I just don't care. But he sort of froze up, and people had a giggle at that. But it was not fun for him. And
No.
I have I have some sympathy for him. But the pick of Reinbacher sort of started where the draft went awry, because Reinbacher went at 5, and then Arizona, in typical clueless Arizona fashion, not because this guy's not going to be a good player, but they could have drafted Simashev at 12, and they drafted Simashev at 6 and Daniel Boot at 12. And I mean, I think most prognosticators who looked at this draft had Arizona as the losers, taking 2 players way ahead of where they were supposed to be taken at 6 and 12.
Yeah, I believe there's a chance that would have happened. I won't call them losers. I don't do winners and losers that soon, but I get what you're saying. I do want to give this commentary, though, about Reinbacher. So for these clueless Habs fans that want to rip him now and call him like Hitlerish, Junior Hitler, and these kinds of names because he's from Austria, don't do it. It's a bad look. Even if you believe that, keep it to yourself. It's horrible. It's awful. This is a kid. This is a young man who has nothing to do with any of that. Just let him play hockey. I can't hear you. You're mute, Mike.
Sorry. It came out at the draft that they had asked that question about World War II, and that was sort of embarrassing. And then, Montreal ends up taking him. And I think the criticism of him is sort of the reaction of Montreal not taking Mishkov, and that they said, okay, we'll just attack Reinbacher, and there you go. Okay. That's just dumb, but that's typical Montreal fan bullcrap. But the Arizona picks, I thought, were, I'm not saying these players can't be good players, but where they were picked,
it could raise your eyebrow for sure. I'm not saying it doesn't.
Now we discussed this amongst ourselves at the draft, but Anthony, especially with the pick of Mishkov at 7. Now of course after the fact, it sounds like they were. They were supposedly even trying to trade up to get him, that Philadelphia was extremely enthused to make this pick. And, they got a guy who could be a difference maker.
Yeah. I was glad, 3 months ago, I didn't think it was possible. Even a month and a half ago, I didn't think they were going to. But then if you remember, I sort of changed my tune because I was getting the feeling that, okay, they might. And they did. And it was a great pick. Like, it's a terrific pick. They're going to be very happy that they did it. And now it sort of erases a narrative, because the way the rest of that draft went for them, they didn't just look for that 6'2", 6'4". They had a mix. And that's what I always look for, is the mix. So that was good. And I was very happy that they did that. So good for them. I think that at least it made their fan base feel a little better that, hey, okay, they went for the guy that is worth waiting for, and they're in a position where it's okay to wait now, where before they would never have waited this long.
Yeah, no. Now sorry, there was just an internet problem here.
Sorry.
There's Zach. Just to
better, guys. Is this better?
Yeah, I think
yes.
That's better, much better. Just the 2 teams that I cover. The Sabres, I think, hit a home run with Zach Benson at 13 overall. Extremely talented player. And if you look at all the connections of Zach Benson with the Sabres, in terms of, he's the line mate of their first-round pick from last year, Matthew Savoy. He was mentored by a former Sabre, James Patrick, who's his coach with Winnipeg, and who he billeted with as a 15-year-old. Was Peyton Krebs, who's also with the Sabres. So there's a lot of connections there. They scouted him. They love his work ethic. They love his talent. So that was a home run for them. Conversely, and I'm not trying to destroy this kid, but and he's a Leaf fan, and he was extremely excited about being drafted. But Easton Cowan as the Leaf pick at 28 is just a head scratcher because he was projected. I know that some people like Craig Button and Mark Edwards from Hockey Prospect had him as a sleeper guy going in the high second round, but most people had him as a 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fair. To my fans in the chat room that think it's unprofessional for me to eat. Well, we're going to be on the air for like 2 hours. And I was outside working for the last hour.
But excuse me. Hey, this is me. This is water.
We've done that on trade deadline days and these kinds of
paying
days.
for this. Tell me what you guys are paying for this. All right, let's just remember that this is a free show.
So anyhow, but I didn't hate the Leafs pick. I understand what you're saying, and that's the way they went. So okay, there were other players on the board I like better for sure, but I didn't know this player very well, so I will also admit that.
Yeah. So I mean that we'll just touching on the draft here, but now,
by the way, Rangers has just made it known to everybody. I got a text about this too.
Go ahead.
And Elliot Friedman posted it. So, but anyway, Lafreniere they're committed to keeping Alex Lafreniere. They're not going anywhere. So, for what it's worth, I think that's a smart move.
Yeah,
but they are they're not going to let him go anywhere. If you guys are just joining too, you guys talk about we
talked about the draft, but now let's talk about the buyout because. I'll tell you,
signing. Well, we're not a signing, but it looks like Ekman Larsson is going to go to the Florida Panthers.
Yes,
that's going on. So, which we're talking about more, but that's pretty good signing.
Yeah,
that's a good signing for them.
Yeah, one year, $2.25 million. I mean, okay, right now with Montour having surgery, with Ekblad having surgery, they're probably losing Gudas.
Probably not losing Gudas, but go ahead.
I said they're probably losing Gudas. I mean, honestly, if somebody is going to pay him $4 million, which somebody might, then they're going to lose Gudas.
Listen, I'm not sure about that.
All right. I mean, people think the Islanders are going to lose Mayfield. And then there are some people who think that he's going to be re-signed. I won't believe that they pay Mayfield when I see them paying Mayfield.
Right. I agree with that too.
On Mayfield, by the way, we're not going to know about it for a while because this is the typical Lou Lamoriello thing, right? Like that, we're going to see. Like I was told this, he's already worked out a deal with Mayfield, and we've seen this every free agency. Like these UFAs that are.
And you know what? I hate that bull crap.
But hold on. But here's what I'll answer back to that. That's nice. But if he is letting himself be shopped to other teams, there are going to be teams lining up for him.
Right. No,
I think you'll either see him go right away to another team, like you say, Russ. But if he doesn't go within the first hour, he's an Islander, and they just are now announcing it. That's my opinion.
Now, Ekman Larsson was one of the players that were bought out, and now we've got a number of them. And I want to start with this one. I was dumbfounded that Matt Duchene was bought out. Now, in going with, we saw Johansson being traded, and I was told by somebody that they were trying to do the same thing with Johansson retaining 50, or with Duchene retaining 50%, and they couldn't get anybody to buy in on 3 years of Duchene. I think he was making 8 or 9. I think it was 9.
Right.
So they couldn't get anybody to buy in on that. So Nashville takes a hit of 6 years against the cap. Now the thing is, Zach, I look at Duchene as if he goes someplace as a 1 or 2 year player, probably a 1 year player making a couple $1 million, that could be really impactful. A team like Boston, who doesn't have any centers, if Krejci and Bergeron retire, maybe they buy in on a guy like Duchene.
Yeah. Here's my thing about Duchene, and a lot of people are saying, okay, listen, he is being let go by Trotz, as a culture move, right? Like as a culture, and you're hearing this like culture move.
That's what it is. That's all it is.
That's all it is. And they're following in the Minnesota thing that Guerin did, right? But if that happens, there are definitely people who think if he can't work with Trotz, how is he going to work with us? That's something that you're going to hear. Now listen, for $1 or $2 million is worth it. But the other issue is like there were some people who contacted me yesterday. They're like, "How the heck are they doing this? Why are they doing this?" Right? I actually had a team contact me, an assistant GM from another team. We're all sitting here confused. Why would they buy out this team? Because they know I know that.
They're tanking.
Yeah. No, they're not tanking. No,
I don't think they're tanking. I don't think that's it.
Okay, you're buying out Johansson. You're buying out Duchesne. You're tanking.
No, they're not. I think they don't like the way those guys fit in from almost the start. They put up with them. No, but hold on. Duchesne still has. They both still have some talent. Duchesne still has a lot of talent, but Duchesne is not a guy who's going to play a lot of defense. So Barry Trotz doesn't like that, so he gets rid of him.
No, I get that. Okay, there are hockey reasons for them moving on for them. I get that. So they move on from Johansson. They move on from Duchesne. You just moved on from your top two centers. They're tanking.
I don't think they're tanking.
Okay,
Mike, they were almost made the playoffs last year, and these guys, Duchesne and Johansson, were non-factors. All right, they were non-factors in that. So the reality is they realize that they're almost a playoff team now, and so they're going to bring in other guys. They're going to make other moves, and they're going to improve. I mean, this is nowhere near tanking. This is not a team that's ready to tank. This team has some talent. This team has some young talent, and they have a good goalie, a really good goalie. I mean, there were some rumors out there that they could move Askarov or what's his name?
Yeah, they were trying, but the problem is that without them actually having played him at the NHL level for any kind of time, has he even played the game? I don't remember.
He played in the NHL.
No, in the NHL. I don't think he's played the game yet, right?
No.
Okay. So the point is, without seeing him there, knowing that you're going to have to pay this guy another salary whenever this deal is up for him, because he'll be an RFA, it's a hard sell at a draft. I knew he wasn't getting traded.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say, okay. Do they have no talent? No, I'm not saying that. Do they have not enough talent?
Right back, guys.
Right. Their number one forward is Philip Forsberg. Now they've bought out Duchesne. They bought out Johansson. They've got no centers, none. And now if they go out and they sign, like if they go out and trade for Scheifele or whatever, okay. But right now they're not a playoff team, even with Saros standing on his head. They're tanking. I mean,
it's early, Mike.
At this moment.
No, you don't just no. I disagree. At this, you're not. If you're tanking the whole way through. So you're tanking or you're not. And I don't believe these moves say that they're tanking.
Stop it, Mike. They're ridiculous. They are not tanking. I know them very well. I know this team. They're the furthest from tanking. They are absolutely believe that they can do something here. They have a new GM. New coach, they are real. They're going for it. They are going for it. 100%.
Okay, here you go. Now, okay, Elliot Friedman, mere seconds ago, lots of talk around Nashville's interest in a center. Believe there were conversations around Washington's Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Right.
Okay.
Is that a tanking move?
What?
Is that a tanking move, Mike? To get Kuznetsov?
No. I'm saying if they. Do you understand what I'm saying? At this moment, right now, if without Duchesne, without Johansson, they're tanking.
But you don't just tank in a moment.
Let me finish. If they don't add, then they are tanking. If they add Kuznetsov, okay, then they're going to try to be competitive. That's all I'm saying. I mean, those were tanking.
Okay, but don't you see that just by trying to add that they're not tanking?
No,
you cannot say at this moment they're tanking. That's what I'm trying to say, Mike. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, if they did nothing else and just like let $20 million in cap hits sit out there, but that's not what they're going to do at all.
Thank you. You understand me.
No, but you at this moment they're not a good team. You could say, but tanking implies that this is a plan that they're getting rid of all these guys and just going to plan. They're not playing. Their plan is not to tank.
I can only interpret what has actually happened. And if they didn't add if they don't add a Kuznetsov and they go into the season with Colton Sissons as their number one center, then they're tanking. But I think, if they go out and Timothy, eat me. Okay. I'm sorry. I sound ridiculous. Listen to what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. If they don't add anybody, then they may as well go for Celebrini. That's all I'm saying. If they add players and they try to be competitive, then I'm sorry. Then okay. Then they're.
But they are going to add, Mike.
Well, I would hope so. But there's no guarantee.
No, there is 100% they're going to add. They don't do this unless they can add. They don't do this. They don't move these guys out unless they have ideas on how to replace them. Because well, you use the word. You use the wrong word, Mike. That's all. It's
no.
I know what you're trying to say. I mean, they're not. But the tanking. There's no way 100% the Predators have ever in their history tanked. They've never done it.
Thank you. Yes. Anyway, now let's. So
there's always one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I won't put the other comments, Mike.
No, I've just blocked them forever. Now, I'm just kidding. I haven't done anything. But the other one was Blake Wheeler.
Yeah.
And now, like Ekman Larson, there's a lot of talk about him coming east. There's a lot of talk about Boston, where he played a couple years. There's a lot of talk about Florida. I don't know, Russ. Do you think he's got enough left?
Yeah, I think he's got enough left to play third pair in D and a little bit of power.
Blake Wheeler.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Ekman Larson. I thought that's Wheeler. Like, I think he's got leadership ability and like a 30-point season in him.
The Panthers are.
That's what I think.
Panthers are signing Anthony Stolarz to a 1-year deal.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, again, they must have a read that they're a little bit worried about Spencer Knight or when he'll be back or what he's going to look like when he gets back. So that's probably a safety net.
Yeah. Well, Alex Line is a UFA. So he probably priced them out because they essentially probably only wanted to pay him a league minimum deal, even though he played well down the stretch. He's probably going to get a backup job somewhere and get $1 million.
He will.
So Stolarz is the backup for Bobrovsky until the situation with Knight is sort of rectified. Esmir, this is a question I'm very interested in. Now, we heard. And Eck, I want to get your thought on this. The Jonathan Quick report of him going to the Rangers. Kevin Weeks is reporting Cam Talbot going to LA on a 1-year deal. So does that mean he's the starter and they're not bringing back Korpisalo? Or does that mean they're going to bring back Korpisalo along with Talbot? But Buffalo. Go ahead.
Mike, go ahead, Dresskin.
No, I mean, the only thing I'm going to also say to the chat room is, maybe Wheeler gets around his 50 points again if he's on the right team. If he's not with the right team, with the right line mates, he's not going to drive a line anymore. But, I think last year was his last great year or really good year for him. That's just my feeling. Who are we talking about now?
Quick with the Rangers.
Oh, Quick, yeah. So, look, if he's going to be there for $1.2 million, that's fine. He proved he was not disruptive with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. So, fine. He'll play. He'll get to play, 25, 30 games for sure. So, if he's good with that, it's a good signing.
Yeah, I mean, if he's playing as many games as Halak did last year, which was 20? I think he's fine.
Well, he'll play more than Halak did, I think, because I think Halak was hurt for a little while, and Shesterkin had to really do that. Let's see. Is that what Halak played last year, 20?
Around 20, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because it's Quick, they might give him a few more.
Okay, yeah. Now, the Sabres goaltending situation, honestly, with this market and so many goalies out there, I would hope that they would add a goalie, but I don't.
We don't know that they are. Yeah,
I don't know, and it's like I think that they should, because I don't trust. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I just don't. I mean,
Well, they're heavy on Korpisalo. The Sabres are, and I do think that from what I heard, the Kings, could go get a goalie, but they also could actually just be playing a little bit of a game here to try to get Korpisalo to come in cheaper. There's some things about that too.
So they're not sold on Phoenix Copley?
Apparently not yet.
Well, I mean,
he did well for them last year. He did.
Well, does Phoenix Copley and Cam Talbot strike you as a competitive Stanley Cup winning goaltending?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it is. So I mean, we'll see.
No,
But,
they're gonna have to get a bigger name.
Sounds like
now,
Matt Nieto is going to sign in Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean that's fourth line. That's fourth line depth. That's fine.
I know. Also, look, another thing on New Jersey. I was just texting somebody. It's kind of interesting that they could be that Cal Foot is a guy that they're targeting.
Well,
again, these are not big time.
Russ, there are the strange things. It's like, okay, we understand like Josh Bailey being traded to Chicago and being bought out, or Kaylor Yamamoto,
Right.
which somebody's going to get a bargain on Kaylor Yamamoto on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal. But those type of moves for Edmonton and for the Islanders to clear cap space, but a former first round pick like Cal Foote not being qualified and going to now what? My conspiracy theory is watch Tampa will sign him.
I don't think Tampa will sign him, but he hasn't been a great defenseman. Like he just hasn't been, and so I think he's been underwhelming. And it's not like he's got tremendous foot speed, or there's something that says, okay, he could play in a top 4 situation. So right now he's just living the life of a bottom pairing defenseman.
Yeah, agreed. I agree in that. And he could. I mean, defensemen take a little bit longer to develop, right? So it could
do absolutely.
It might be worth a shot. Like it might be really.
Yeah, I mean, the team should still take a shot on him. That's for sure.
And this could be the best time to get him too. I mean, there are a lot of those kind of defensemen in this right out there right now. Gostisbehere, by the way, I heard Gostisbehere is looking for north of $4 million for 4 years.
I don't think he'll get 4 years.
I'll be waiting a while for that one. I mean, this is the funny thing, because we don't know how much a guy like Gudas is going to get. We don't know how much a guy like Mayfield is going to get. But there are defensemen who a lot of people thought were, a little more than league minimum, maybe a little more, like a guy like Luke Schenn, who had a really good playoff with the Leafs after getting acquired. Apparently, he's drawn interest from 4 or 5 different teams, and it doesn't surprise me because he played for Toronto. He got a lot of exposure. He played really well alongside Morgan Rielly. And now, at 33 years old, he's dumb if he doesn't take the best offer that he gets, because it's probably going to be his last contract. Would I have liked him to return to Toronto? It was a great story. Yes, but if he's getting offered, if the Leafs are offering him $1.1 million and he's getting offered $2 million by someplace else, then he has to take it. But the Toronto stuff is going to be really interesting, and I don't know how much of it is going to unfold over the next, say, 48 to 72 hours. But I'll say this: I mean, the chances of them being able to hold on to Ryan O'Reilly were slim, but there was talk that they were going to be able to. He's going to market. I don't know whether I don't know whether he comes back to the Leafs. I'm sure he's going to get offers or not, because there are not that many centers in this market.
No, I don't love what's going on with the Leafs, though. I mean, I don't think the Reeves signing is smart. I mean, I don't.
Okay, Russ. It depends. It depends on, because I don't have a problem with bringing in Ryan Reeves. I have a problem with how much it's going to cost. And if you're signing,
me too. That's what I'm talking about.
If you're signing him for, like, people were saying it's a 3-year deal. He's 36 years old. The term is meaningless because if he retires, there's no cap hit.
He's not going to retire. He's going to take his money.
I know, but well, again, let me finish.
Okay.
Not only if he retires, if it's a contract that is waiverable, meaning like less than the 1.125, so then they can sign him for 10 years. It doesn't matter. If you send him down to the American Hockey League, it clears waivers. It's the money. If they sign him for $2 million, then it's a dumb contract. If it's $1.2 million, then it's fine because he's a good teammate. He sticks up for his the players on the team. He instills some fear in the opposition, and really the Leafs have needed that. But as a designated guy, like as sort of an enforcer, that role is sort of disappearing in this league. I think he's still effective at it, but he's not going to score 20 goals. He never has been that type of guy. So it's all a question of what they pay him.
Right. I'm against the 2 million. Anything over $1 million, I'm against, to be honest. And I wouldn't give him 3 years because he's not going to retire now. Yeah, sure, you could bury him, whatever. But again, he is becoming less and less efficient at his job every year in this league. We could see it. And
apparently, Bill Guerin wanted to bring him back. There was an offer there by the Wild, and he decided to go to free agency. So,
yeah, because this is his last time to collect. That's why.
Right, exactly. And then so it's sort of like Luke Shen, where if there are dollars to be made, there are dollars to be made. Elliot Friedman just tweeted out Mackenzie Blackwood is getting a deal done with San Jose after they did not qualify him. So I assume that's going to be for less. Brian Dumoulin is going to market. So that's not surprising because I think he had injury issues last year. But
yeah, the bloom's kind of off the rose on that one.
Yeah, and Kyle Dubas, I don't know what you thought of the Riley Smith deal, Ak.
What about the Riley Smith deal? Sorry.
What you thought of it?
Oh, I mean, obviously there's no loyalty in that town. That's what I thought of it right away.
What, in Vegas? Well, I mean, he won a cup. He was there from the very beginning. They needed the money to pay Barbashev. Barbashev is younger and better.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I don't really have a. What's your opinion on it? I don't really have a strong opinion either way as far as the actual trade.
I think. Well, I was more curious about it, Russ, that from the Pittsburgh perspective because, they're losing a guy like Zucker, who actually had a decent year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're walking away from Dumoulin, and they had some cap space, but and Riley Smith is still effective, but he's 32. He's got 2 years left in the contract. He's making $5 million. It was not the type of move I expected from Dubas, but maybe it goes along with his marching orders to stay competitive with this core group over the next couple of years before they have a chance to rebound.
I think this is a Sullivan move. I do, because I think Sullivan probably knows, because I don't know, that his team's not great at penalty killing. And if that's the case, Riley Smith is a supreme penalty killer in this league. He also scores clutch goals. He's also fast. Jason Zucker is a really good goal scorer and a clutch goal scorer, but he's not fast. So this is a way to make your team faster, bring in a guy with playoff experience, but also make your penalty kill a lot better.
Yeah,
I was just that the Brinkat, the trade watch is on big time right now. Like that. See, because the issue here, right, with Ottawa is if you're going to move him, you got to move him quickly because cap space is disappearing, right? So this is about him like going someplace where he'll extend. I think Detroit's a really big possibility here.
Well, yes and no. And the thing, I thought the same thing, but apparently, and this is Yzerman, and we know Yzerman is a tough negotiator. At a certain point, apparently, in the discussions between Ottawa and Detroit, and this is again Elliot mentioning this yesterday, Detroit just said too much. You're asking for too much. We're done. We're out. And that that's consistent with Yzerman. If he doesn't like the price on something and the other team is haggling, he just says, "I'm done." Now,
right, and that's it. And you don't call him back like it's over.
The door is shut. Now, whether it's the fact that
so far. How's that work for him so far? How's that work for him so far in Detroit?
Yeah.
I agree. Yzerman is God, but like people give him a little way too much God-like stuff. I mean, he's not afraid of all of his. He's not even nervous about his job, losing his job. The guy's not made the playoffs. I mean, I'm like just sitting there, and and you gotta sometimes talk to teams twice. Like if he did that,
he doesn't want to pay too much for players. I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing. They now I haven't seen whether they have re-signed Costin or not, but they factored in what they had to pay in terms of buying out Yamamoto was worth getting a young forward like Costin, who started to really show his abilities in Edmonton last year. That was a cost-benefit analysis there. But now DeBrincat on a new deal is probably going to want what, 8.5 to 9 million, and if he has to pay through the nose to get him in terms of a return to Ottawa and pay him, then the cost benefit analysis is that's not worth it for me.
And nobody's making 9 million on Detroit, right?
No. The highest is Dylan Larkin. And he looks at, I have to pay Raymond and I have to pay Seider.
Right.
So he's trying to maintain a structure there. And in Tampa, he got Vasilevsky, he got Kucherov, he got Stamkos, all take less. Now the difference is in Florida, you had the benefit of that state tax situation.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're going to be able to get players to buy in Detroit to take less, just like you're not going to get players in Toronto to buy in and take less. William Nylander, it's like, so, I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, you might be right. It might be a situation where Yzerman is sort of whistling past the graveyard here and he has to pay somebody, but he doesn't have to do what he doesn't want to do.
No, I don't think he's whistling past the graveyard. I don't think this is a game Yzerman's playing. Yzerman doesn't play games. He's always been pretty freaking honest and pretty much directly right up front, so yeah, I kind of wish it was a game he was playing. Like I would like to me, if I'm Detroit, I would want him to be playing a game here because you do have to sometimes play games a little bit, like. Okay,
Pierre LeBrun just said this on TSN. The Sharks are trying to facilitate the Erik Karlsson deal. Sharks have allowed teams to speak directly with Karlsson. He lists teams: Seattle, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Toronto, but Toronto is not amongst the front runners because they don't have the cap space.
By the way, my Toronto source just said that the Leafs asked Nylander just to put in his trade list and that he will be traded. That's what my source said.
Okay. That is not surprising because of what Russ and I both heard at the draft, because the talk was the Leafs had been talking to Nylander for a couple weeks. They were not close. They were not on the same page. And I mean, there is not a dollar that has been put out there that William Nylander hasn't wanted to take.
Or his dad's influence. It still might be because that's the way he was. And I'm going to still fall back on that until we hear otherwise.
No, I agree. Because his father, for those who don't know, Michael Nylander is part of his agency with Louis Gross. And, I'm not begrudging William Nylander in this sense. You have to make as much money as you can in this sport because your career is 10, 12 years at the most. Some people play longer. You have to make as much money. But if you say on the one hand, I love Toronto and I want to play here, then you have to do what Austin Matthews apparently is prepared to do, which is take a little bit less so you can fit everybody in, so you can add players and you can compete. And if he wants to make top dollar, he's going to make it someplace else. So the talk of I love Toronto is a bunch of bull crap. And what his agency has been asking for in terms of what his asking price is, he's asking for Johnny Gaudreau, Mikko Rantanen type money over $9 million. And he simply is not worth that. And if he can get it someplace, God bless, but they can't pay it. So I would not be surprised that he's gone.
No, and apparently has a 10-team trade list. Now there's a little bit of concern here on my part that Toronto waited too long to do this. Like
No, I think
here's the other thing about that. I will say this. Maybe this happened like a week ago. Like maybe we're just hearing about it now. But I would like to think that because this is a really right now, it feels, if you look at it right now, like if they just did this, which I'm sure they didn't, but if they just did this, then you're like, what? That's a panic.
I think teams knew at the draft. Let's be honest.
And I think that's
probably true too.
And I think this goes hand in hand with the other rumor that's out there, which is that the Leafs are really hot and heavy interested in Tyler Bertuzzi, and
they're actually very hot and heavy interested in Erik Karlsson, Mike.
Well, like LeBrun just said, they're not the front runners because they don't. Right. They simply don't have the cap space. But this is the thing. Brad Treliving wants a team that is more crash and bang and more physical. That was the team that he had in Calgary. People may have said that was because of Daryl Sutter, but no, he liked it too. He went out and got guys like Erica Branson. He went out and got guys like Nikita Zadorov. He went out and got guys and traded for Milan Lucic. Now, okay.
Another thing I quote. I'm sorry to throw fast things at you guys real quick, but we'll just do that real fast.
Yeah.
The Devils are have walked away from the Hellebuck talks. And
I'm not shocked at that.
Price was just too high, but they were trying to make that work. They really were.
But we talked about that price being too high for them. They weren't going to pay anybody more than Hughes because they're also trying to maintain a structure. So I knew that was going to fall apart.
And more about just the price to get him, like what it's going to cost, what they're asking for.
Okay,
Winnipeg,
that's fair.
Winnipeg is asking.
I think again, it's the cost benefit analysis, like DeBrincat. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll pay him $9 million if we get him for free, but no, we're gonna have to give up Dawson Mercer, or we're gonna have to give up Nemec, or we're gonna have to give up Luke Hughes. They're not gonna give up that and then pay the same thing.
Here's my other thing on the Erik Karlsson. Let's say to the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes aren't taking him without a lot of salary retention because I looked it up. Aho's at 8.4. They don't pay $10 million to anybody, so there's no way that deal's going through because San Jose is going to do the deal with the least amount of retention involved, and they would be the most amount of retention, I think.
And their priorities. And okay, if they trade for Karlsson, then you can bet Pesce's being traded.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's they may be still bringing in D'Angelo, as a second or third pairing guy. But if they're bringing in Karlsson, then that tells you that. And there is talk out there that Pesce and them are not close. And Pesce, changed agents, so that would make sense. Now, Drager somebody is saying in the chat that Wheeler to the Rangers per Drager. Or a strong contender. Okay. Well, let me just finish my Toronto point. Bertuzzi is the type of player that Treliving would like to add. And if they trade Nylander for, say, future young assets were cheap and draft picks, then bringing in Bertuzzi and signing at $6.5 million, which is what they're paying Nylander right now, makes a ton of sense. I think that they're going to try to change the makeup of that team. There's talk about Connor Brown, Russ, who's coming off ACL injury, and the two teams with Connor Brown are Edmonton because of Connor McDavid, who was his line mate with the Erie Otters, and Toronto, where he started his career with.
Yeah, I mean, Brown's a nice little piece to get. He can't get a top salary right now because of coming off that injury. The other thing I want to mention about Wheeler, if the Rangers are going to start collecting 35 and 36-year-olds, they're in trouble.
Well, I mean, if it's a one-year deal,
throwing that out there, fastest signed to Carolina officially.
Who did?
Okay, that's smart. Jesper Fast. Yeah. They really liked him there. He's a good all-around player. I have always liked him.
And what Derek is saying here is how the Leafs get assets for Nylander, just like Dubois, just like these others, just like Severson. You sign him to the 8-year deal, and then you trade him. That's the magic formula here, folks. And unless all of a sudden he becomes reasonable and signs a deal in the 8s, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, do you really think Blake Wheeler's taking a 1-year deal? No, he's not taking a 1-year deal.
37. What is he? 36.
Right.
He's not going to.
He really might.
1-year deal.
You really? If he takes a 1-year deal, fine.
What's that?
If you've been in Winnipeg for as long as you've been, and now you get a chance to go to the Rangers for 1 year, yeah, sure, you do it.
Yeah.
All right. If he does a 1-year deal, I won't kill it. But
yeah, I think that's.
I heard it's actually done. He's going to be a Ranger. That's what I just heard.
Alex Killorn and the Lightning. Well, I'll be curious to see what the money will be. I did hear something about the Islanders and Tarasenko. I did too. The Leafs should. Timothy says the Leafs should trade Marner. Okay, that's over with because in 9 minutes he's got a no move clause. He's not leaving. He's not
going anywhere.
And it would be a public relations nightmare.
He's on the golf course today. He's not worried.
The Jackets signed Fantilli to a 3-year deal.
Wow, that was quick.
Interesting.
Wow. So wow.
Oh, so he's actually not going back. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
They convinced him.
What do you think the chances of him being in the lineup opening night for Mike Babcock?
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be in it.
Yep.
He'll be there.
I just thought he was going to go one more year to college, so he did divert from his plan. Hey, good for him.
So did I. So Renaud Lavoie reporting that the Lightning and Alex Killorn are still talking. Yeah, Killorn wants to stay there. I mean, obviously, it's just how this is the type of deal. Maybe it goes an extra year and they spread the AAV out, but they have no room. They have no cap room. Tampa Bay, none.
They have none now. Yeah. Ranta signed a deal. Ranta signed another deal in Carolina.
So that means that Freddie Anderson's gone, and that means that your goaltending is Kochetkov and Ranta.
I mean, again, unless Kochetkov gets a lot of games and proves something, there's going to be a year here with Carolina where they're going to lose their defense fooling around with the goaltending. Like unfortunately, that's what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, there's no question about that. And it sucks because they really are in a spot where they have such a good thing.
They do.
I mean, they could go after Logan Thompson. So this is a small deal. Rant is like a 1 year, $1.5 million deal. So this is not like this is a backup goal.
Somebody's going to have to explain to me what the motivation here for Vegas to trade Logan Thompson is. He's making less than $800,000. He splits time with Adin Hill, and unless Leonard is healthy, which if Adin Hill signed for almost $5 million, that tells me that Leonard is not healthy. You need two goalies, so I don't think that they're trading Logan Thompson.
They are. I mean, here's the other thing I'll say about this. This is just going to really blow your mind. They've talked to people. They have since signing Adin Hill. They've talked to people about trading Adin Hill to them. Like they actually have spent some time trying to move both their goalies. Like they, which is true with Boston too.
Unless Adin Hill has a no move in the new contract, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, he might, but and also remember the Swayman and Ullmark have been discussed with people too. So that's another. I mean, both those players are being discussed. So there's a lot there.
Okay, so far,
Killorn is going to UFA. Didn't work out.
Okay, so here are the signings just today. We just said Fast, 2-year deal, $2.4 million AAV. Fantilli, it was just mentioned. Clem Costin did sign 2 years, $2 million per.
Smart
deal. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 2.25, 1 year with Florida. Jacob Bernard Docker. 2 years at $805,000 AAV, one-way contract.
He's really a defensive defenseman now, so that's why they're able to do that, and that's fine. I mean, I think that's smart on their part.
And Eric Brandstrom, 1 year, $2 million for Ottawa. I'm a little surprised at the amount there. I mean, we know the offensive upside, Russ, but
I don't know what offensive upside is there anymore.
Well, I mean, I think he's still okay.
How many points did he have last year?
Good question. I'm looking at right now. He had, he had a whole 18 points in 74 games.
I mean, what are we really talking about here? I don't know.
But maybe defensively he's better. He was a +5 on a team that was pretty bad defensively.
Sure. I mean, so he may have improved his defensive game. That's fine. I mean, again, just seems like they're filling a hole, and that's fine. Right now they can't do a lot with ownership sort of in flux. Like they probably have a budget that they have to keep to until the deal goes through.
Now, did you like what Chicago did, which was trade for 2 veteran guys in Foligno and Corey Perry, and then sign them for way above what they normally would make?
Yes, I do. Only because they can, because they're in that spot.
Right.
They have but they're there's a situation where did they have to though? That's what I wonder about. Like, did you have to?
They had to get to the cap floor. So yeah.
Yeah, but they're going to get to the cap floor. You would assume, like today, they're going to do some things for sure.
But the difference here is getting to the cap floor by signing long-term contracts, or getting to the cap floor and building a veteran team around a young kid like Bedard, and only spending that money for 1 year. I mean, it's. I would like to be Nick Foligno right now or Corey Perry right now and say, hey, come to Chicago and we'll give you probably double what you normally would make, just to be a good guy and a support structure for Connor Bedard. That's fine. I mean, I think that's a good move. And now next year, that $8 million that they're paying to those two guys, it opens up again, and maybe they sign somebody long-term then.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I think they're still gonna be very interested. Oh, but so another thing here, Nedeljkovic, right? Nedeljkovic, he's from Ohio, right? So the Blue Jackets are trying to get him. They're trying to sign him today. I heard that.
Yeah, that's smart.
So there would be your backup to Merzlikins.
Yeah.
So Columbus will be better this year for sure.
Renaud Lavoie is saying that the Rangers are trying to extend Lafreniere.
Yeah, that's their only other choice, right? I mean,
yeah, right. No, they have to.
Well, no, their choice is to trade him or extend him.
Well, no, that's what I mean. But they said they're keeping him, so this is their only other choice.
Yeah. The Logan Thompson, I think, is going to come down to the if he's moved, is going to come down to the Penguins or the Devils. It's an interesting battle there.
Okay.
I don't see why the Devils. I don't see why the Devils would go in very heavy on Logan Thompson. I understand why the Penguins might.
I'm just missing the logic of trading Logan Thompson.
Oh, I am too. Believe me. And the other guy we should talk about too is
Well, wait. I'm going to go with the logic of trading Thompson. Maybe they can't do anything with Leonard, so he has to come back, and that's why they have to trade Thompson.
That's possible. You're right about that. That does show you that, what about the Christian Fischer thing? That is another one that I'm really that is totally.
I think the bloom's off the rose a little on Christian Fischer. I think there was a time, now you look at him and say, all right, he could contribute a little bit, but I think the bloom's off the rose on him.
Well, there is a conspiracy theory.
The Caps in Montreal are on the verge of a trade.
Okay.
I'm told that would send Edmondson to Washington.
Okay, he was almost moved at the deadline to Tampa Bay. So
I mean, this is like a real desperate move for Washington, honestly.
No, well, Russ, remember they lost most of their defense. I mean, they traded Orlov. They re-signed Jensen. They re-signed Trevor Van Riemsdyk, but most of their defense, was gone from last year.
No, but they're collecting old defense, which is a problem because you already have Carlson who couldn't stay healthy last year. Now you're bringing in Edmondson who couldn't stay healthy last year. Like, what are you doing?
Well, they think that they're trying to compete. Now, okay, I want to see the team, if GSM is telling the truth in the chat, and I have no reason not to believe them, that TSN is saying that Orlov is going to get $7 million plus in free agency. Who?
Nobody's paying him that.
Who is paying him $7?
I mean, look, I didn't think Fantilli would go back, would sign. So I always say, I don't think it's going to happen, but of course it could happen. And I would be shocked if it happens. That's all.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked too.
Yeah, but no, the conspiracy theory out there is that there are more restricted free agents that were not qualified, flooding the market with unrestricted free agents, and that teams did this not only to open up cap space, but to keep the free agent prices down. And that might work because now everybody's going to be scrambling for jobs. It's going to be like musical chairs. Like, okay, the Sabres wanted to bring back Tyson Yost. The qualifying offer was $2.25 million. They didn't offer it. So they want to get him at a lower figure. And if they don't, then okay, then they can sign somebody else who will take less. That's the whole thing. A lot of teams, now, of course, they qualified, like Toronto qualified Ilya Samsonov. They didn't want to let him go to market. But a lot of teams let guys who normally they would at least qualify. They didn't qualify.
Right. The cap would have gone up more this year. More guys would have gotten qualified.
Right.
But teams are making hard decisions.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and I do think that it's not so much like a collusion type thing, Mike, as a thing of just basically
reality.
They're not being any money.
Yeah.
Like I asked one of my sources who's on the team that usually is really fun to cover today, and I'm like, so what's going on? I talked to him this morning. It's like boring day. We don't have any money to spend. Like that's what the response. Like it was, and I'm like, geez. I'm like, you're killing me, man. I'm like, I got to do a show here. But he's like, boring day. But it's obviously not boring around the whole league. But there are some teams that you won't see do anything. There are some teams that really can't do anything.
Now, Russ, the name Keandre Miller was just
Saravelli just posted the trade. So I was right. Edmonton gets the Caps get Edmondson. The Canadians get a 3rd round pick and a 7th round pick. So that's what happens.
Okay. Russ, Keandre Miller's name was mentioned in the chat. Where do you think the Rangers go on that? In terms,
I wouldn't go that heavy because he took a step back defensively last year. His offense was good. I think there were some real ups and downs in this game. He's young too, but the problem is you're paying him to be an offensive defenseman. He's got to do better defensively. Whether he will be more physical or not, who knows? But he was more physical.
I'm sorry, Russ. Nashville. I'm just going to shoot. I'm going to interrupt when I can, okay? Because I'm getting so many texts.
Yeah.
Nashville is signing Luke Schenn.
Yeah, it was out there.
It was out there already.
Okay, I mean,
I don't know. I'm trying to just talk to my text here.
I guess the tank is over there.
Well, okay, you're telling me that Luke Schenn is tells you that the tank is over with.
Yes.
Shut.
You don't sign Luke Schenn if you're tanking.
Luke Schenn. I will say it like this: Luke Schenn is in demand. He's not going to a team he thinks is tanking.
No, he's going where he's going to get paid the most money.
He's been there before,
that too.
Hasn't he? From the Flyers to Nashville for Forsberg.
He's going to the place that offered him the most money.
Right. No, but I'm saying,
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, he would have gone to Anaheim had Anaheim Austin.
No, he wouldn't have. No, stop it.
We'll see.
But anyhow, Miller's got to do better. He only had 1 point in the playoffs. If you're going to end up paying him, I don't know what, 4.5 or something like that. Do you think that's what it'll get, Mike? 4.5 for Miller?
Yeah,
he had 43 points.
Well, but here, the Rangers and the Oilers are in similar positions with defensemen who are coming off their ELCs. Evan Bouchard and Keandre Miller. Neither one of the teams can offer them long-term extensions. They just can't afford it until the cap goes up. So these players are in a position that they have to sign a bridge deal to get to where money, I mean, there are going to be players here that normally would get long-term deals that might take 1-year deals just to wait till the cap goes up.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I will say it like this.
You're going to hear a lot of that.
Yeah, with Miller, if the Rangers feel like they're like losing in the negotiations and they have to go higher than what they want to, then you'll probably see the buyout of Barclay Goodrow, which nobody really wants to see, but might happen.
Yeah, that would be that'd be really bad.
I guess they can't buy him out anymore, but I guess they would have to trade him.
No, they can buy him. Okay, this came up with Toronto with Matt Murray. They can buy him out still because of the RFA if they qualify. The
second window. Okay.
Yes, the second window. So,
I always get confused with the second window. Okay.
Yeah, no.
So that may still happen.
Trade out there with the Islanders that involves Wahlstrom. So I'm looking at that too. Like I've got a text.
Okay. I mean, I really don't get the Islanders. I mean, I don't. If they have made their decision on Oliver Wahlstrom, that's fine. But I mean, they're a team that needs scoring, and now you're going to trade a guy that could potentially help you with scoring. Okay, great.
Montreal is retaining 50% of Edmondson per Elliott. Renaud Lavoie mentioning 10 teams interested in Max Pacioretty. I mean, I'm stunned at that because the guy hasn't been able to stay healthy
and the Rangers are in there too. But maybe now that'll be hard to imagine. Like, this is a bad move if the Rangers get him too. Don't you think?
So, okay, here you go.
Yeah, who are we talking about?
Pacioretty.
Oh, no, it would be a horrible move.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a 1-year deal for low money and you just put him on LTIR.
If it's $1 million for 1 year, fine. Anything more than that is not worth it for Max Pacioretty right now.
Yeah.
Right now,
He wants to play there though. He wants to play over the Rangers.
Yeah, because he's from Connecticut.
Anybody
I want to see whether this.
That's the way the rules are. If you want to play for the Rangers, you got to play for the Rangers. You know these. You know this is why Quick's going to sign them.
Okay, Timothy, tell us. Okay, Timothy, I'd like to know where you saw this because I haven't seen this yet. If that's okay, if that's
that is right. That's correct. 3 years,
2.75 per season.
Yes.
God bless you, Luke. I'm glad you got it. You're that's great. Enjoy Nashville. The hot chicken is wonderful, beautiful.
But people don't give players like Luke Shen enough credit, okay? Because he's one of the best defensive defensemen in the league.
No, he's. Oh my God, no, he's not.
Yes,
I think he's in the middle. I think he's in the middle, though. It's fair.
He's a good physical defenseman. He's not a top 4. He's in a best case scenario. He's probably a 5. Like I said, he's right-handed, so that elevates his money. He gets paid $2.75 million a year. He can't turn for 3 years. He couldn't turn that down. That was you had to take it. But I'm saying that's a dramatic. Now, if it's 3 years for $2.75 million, which is like a little over $900,000, I wouldn't. Then I'd be a little mad that the Leafs didn't pay him that because.
Okay, here's the dilemma, Mike.
No.
If it's me, I'll pay Luke Shen this contract for the Leafs rather than the $2 million a year for 3 years for Ryan Reeves.
But they're not going to. I don't think they're paying $2 million a year for Ryan Reeves.
I know, but I'm just saying, if it happens, that's where I would draw the line and say, "Wow, they should have kept Shen."
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Drager just confirmed it. 2.75 per.
Right.
Shen. That's. I mean, like I said, I'm happy for Luke. God bless. You weren't going to make anywhere close to that in Toronto because they couldn't afford that, but that's a dramatic overpay. That's a product of Nashville. You know, they want
Ryan Reeves is 1.35 with the Leafs.
There you go. That's fine.
3 years though, Mike. 3 years.
No, 3 years is bad, but I get what you're saying. It's bad.
You can bury that.
That's fine, but you understand when you bury Ryan Reeves, he's not invisible. He's not going to not talk.
I'm talking about the cap. Who cares about him being invisible?
Well, you'll care if he starts bitching when he's with the Marlies. That's what I'm saying.
Very big man to be invisible.
Then retire.
He's not going to retire either.
Right? Then shut up. You shut up and collect your money.
We'll see if he's still on the roster in 2 years.
Nobody else was giving him 3 years. So that, no way. So and that money, if he retires, Russ doesn't think he will, but if he retires, then that money drops off, and you can bury almost all of that in the minors if he all of a sudden becomes ineffectual. So that's fine.
Is he not ineffectual now? Like how good is he now at his game, Mike? That's the question.
Russ, why do you think they're acquiring him?
I know why they're acquiring him, but even in that part of his game, nobody's afraid of him anymore. Like,
I don't know about that.
Do you get a sense that people are afraid of Ryan Reeves anymore?
Kevin Weeks is reporting Connor Brown is going to sign with Edmonton. Color me shocked.
Well, yeah, he's going to play with his buddy. McDavid and Brown, weren't they legendary in juniors or something like that together?
Yeah, Connor Brown won the OHL scoring title playing with Connor McDavid.
I don't know how to answer that question, Rasmus. I'm trying to think about it.
That's fine.
Are people afraid of Reeves? Yes.
Not like they used to be. That's what I feel.
He's got to be able to catch you. Like if he's got to be able to catch you to be really afraid of him. That's the thing. Like he's not.
Right.
Speed is the issue, right? Like, and with Toronto, a team that plays incredibly fast, it's going to be interesting to see. Like he's a little bit. He's like
Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Shen to Nashville.
Oh, interesting.
So there you go. So Barry Trotz clears out what he considers malingerers in Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene, and he brings in Ryan O'Reilly and Luke Shen. I mean, again, now, okay, I'll make a prediction here. I'll say 4 years at $5 million per.
Okay.
I think that's what it'd end up being.
Yeah, people were comparing it to Barbashev's, like he was going to get the same kind of money.
5 times 5. Well, I mean, that'd be a little surprising since he's 32 and Barbashev is 28.
I agree, but they bring very different things, so it's hard to say.
Now you got to also remember here, and again, here's the advantage, and follow me here, folks. Here's the advantage of Florida, Tampa, Vegas, Dallas, and Nashville. All states in the U.S. that are non-state tax states. So Ryan O'Reilly, whatever he's getting paid, and Luke Schenn, whatever he's getting paid, they'll get more of a percentage of that money than, say, players in Buffalo or players with the Rangers, because of the state that is a factor with all these players. That's why Steven Stamkos took $8.5 million to stay in Tampa, on top of the fact that right. But he was offered, I think he was offered $11 million in Toronto, and he was going to make more on an $8.5 million deal in Tampa than he was on an $11 million deal in Toronto. It's just the reality.
True.
This is these players leaving Toronto will hurt them.
Oh yes, I mean it's a question of what they get
to replace.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's Anthony who will bring.
What were the thoughts? There was a couple of thoughts that that Pittsburgh would go after Freddie Anderson. I just cannot see Dubas going there.
No, I can because he's liked him before.
I can't act because they don't want to pay Jari on a long-term deal, and they're looking maybe for a 1 year or a 2 year fix. Now, Anthony, as we
I say that, it sounds like Carolina is going to sign Anderson back again. So I just said that.
Okay.
So that makes no sense because they have Kochetkov and they signed him to an extension.
That means he's not going to play much again.
No, but he's not waiver exempt.
No, they're going to.
We'll see on that one. But
JVR the Bruins. I don't know. I will find out. That's possible. I don't know. Let's hold on that one. Just hold off on that.
As we leave Nashville, apparently half the Maple Leafs are staying in Nashville because Luke Schenn is signed there now. Ryan O'Reilly is signed there. We don't know the amount on O'Reilly, but $2.75 million per season for Luke Schenn. I don't think on a 3 year deal he was going to make $2.75 total in Toronto.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's tough. Again, that's tough for that's certainly tough for the Maple Leafs in the circumstances.
But God bless him. I'm very happy for him to get that kind of money. He's just not a $2.75 million player anymore.
No, not at all. And again, it's difficult because again, it's tough to. I thought he gave them some things that they needed during the postseason.
He did. He was good for them.
He was good.
Very good.
He was, and we saw him more when they made the acquisition. I looked at it more as a depth acquisition, but he turned out to be much more than that for the Leafs.
Yeah,
and to lose him, that's going to be.
Sounds like JVR the Bruins is done. By the way, guys, sounds like JVR the Bruins is done.
What's that?
1 year. Sounds like JVR the Bruins is done. 1 year deal.
JVR the Bruins. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately for me right now, for whatever reason, I'm having a lot of problems that other people are having on Twitter right now with this rate limiting here. So.
Love it, thank God, because I don't. People always say I'm just checking Twitter and all these text messages coming in. And people always
I know it's just and I have a signing board up here.
I am checking Twitter because I'm just trying to get conduit.
I'm not having any trouble on Twitter, but I paid, so maybe that's why.
A lot of people are having trouble. A lot of people
Florida has signed Kevin Stenlund 1 year at $1 million, and Stenlund was in Columbus with Zito. So
should I yawn now or later?
That could be a sneaky bit. If Zito's bringing him from Columbus, I would look out for that one. That could be sneaky.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So I know I'm not saying anything crazy.
We knew this wasn't going to be the most exciting day, unfortunately.
Actually, it's pretty good so far. I think it has been at least.
Connor Sheary to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's good for Tampa.
I mean, basically, you're swap. They trade out. They trade
Colton.
out Perry and also Colton, and they're obviously Tampa's got to can work around the edges.
Shearing officially the modern day Mike Sillinger.
Shearer.
He's not there yet.
Nah,
He's
I
not
don't
there
think.
yet.
No, not quite there yet. He's not have suitcase will travel just yet.
Luke Shen's getting closer, actually.
Yeah.
But it seems like Sherry just goes somewhere every year.
Toronto, Philadelphia, Anaheim, Vancouver, Tampa, now Nashville. I think I may be missing one more team, but he's up to 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean that's in this era, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually you don't. There's guys that don't hang around long enough.
Cagulia.
Drake Caggiula is another one. Yeah.
Is going back to Edmonton.
Oh, okay. I was close. Ryan O'Reilly 4-year deal. It's $4.5 million from Nashville. Now, I'm sorry. They're okay.
Trotz likes him, Mike.
I don't know why Toronto doesn't sign him to that deal. That's not unreasonable.
I'm guessing term.
Yes.
No, I'm
that's
guessing.
probably it.
I'm guessing AAV, Anthony. I think the Leafs probably wanted to sign him for 5 years at 4, or 5 years at 3 point something.
I'm guessing number 65, baby.
You're dreaming in Technicolor.
I'm not dreaming in Technicolor.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. He's not going to Toronto.
I tell you,
Carlson.
I think he is going to Toronto. And if they didn't bring back over, they wanted to bring back O'Reilly. Everybody said they wanted to bring back O'Reilly.
Yeah, they did.
They don't do that deal. The deal that there's no reason they don't do that deal.
Well, how much room do the Leafs have under the cap?
Well, first they will open up 4.6 million or 4 million when they buy out Murray, which they will.
Right.
And Muzzin's 5.6 goes to LTIR. So there's an extra 10 million there. They have about 9 million right now. So there's not actually 19.
Right. So if San Jose eats a little every year, they'll do it.
San Jose eats a little, and a third party comes in and picks up a little. That's what I heard. That's what I heard would happen.
Okay.
Yes,
so
you guys got the JVR. So the term is 1 year, $1 million.
That's money well spent. I mean, that's $1 million for. I mean, I know that he's limited. I know that he's slow, but now the problem with Boston is that they have nobody to get him.
He's not slow. I don't want to say he's slow. Okay, I mean
he's never been fast.
No, but like he knows where to go on the ice. He knows it's Toffoli like. I mean, that's not his thing. His thing is just. His overall engagement isn't great. Yes. His engagement on offense is good, but his overall engagement in games isn't great.
Now he might really get inspired in Boston, and because he's playing with all these good players around him, and he could be very good.
But they have nobody to get him the puck. They have nobody to get him the puck. Bergeron is. They say Bergeron is likely retiring. Krejci is almost definitely retiring. They have no centers. Their number one center right now is Charlie Coyle.
Today.
Yeah,
so,
but that could change.
They might get Kuznetsov. Who knows? Somebody's going to do that.
Very close to getting Anderson back in Carolina.
Oh, I'm sure they're just. That's Kevin, I'm sure everybody's like, "Oh my God,
Kevin Weeks."
That's happening. Let's pause for a second on this, okay? Because my mind is how my mind has to work today.
Kevin Weeks is saying Varlamov back to the Islanders. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not a shocker.
Yeah, Lou didn't really want to do that. Anyway, so it must be really small. Anyway, if that's happening, well, we know Carolina was in on a lot of other goalie possibilities. Like that tells you something about the goalie market. If they circle back to Anderson, because they definitely that was not their first plan.
Well, it's probably again with Carolina, it's usually money, so they probably are getting Anderson on the deal that they wanted to get somebody else on.
Or Anderson went out there and found nothing, and came back to them and said, "I'll take a really small deal." Like that's the other thing that could happen too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here you go. This is Kochetkov is still waiver exempt for next year.
See, Mike. There you go.
At $2 million, he's still waiver exempt.
Yep. See, there you go.
But if Cap Friendly's waiver calculator is correct, if he plays a certain amount of games this year, then he doesn't become.
But he won't, because Brendan Moore didn't do it last year.
Unless one of the goaltenders gets hurt, which they always do, and then they'll have to.
They'll bring up Joe, whoever. They won't. Trust me. They'll bring up.
They'll sign David Ayers.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man. So, but I know Varlamov. He's taking nothing. He must be taking nothing because
Well, he's
they're
not
like,
taking nothing, but yeah,
I mean,
a lot less. He likes it on Long Island.
no, he
That's
wanted
it.
to say he likes and Sorokin likes him. That's the other thing too.
Right.
Like Sorokin,
They're
you wanna-
buddies.
if you
It's a natural.
if you have that
It's an,
situation,
yeah.
you know, when you have that situation, it's important. Like that's I thought Elliott was really good with Carter Hart for a while. You know, like I thought that was a really good
Right.
situation.
Anthony, do you think $1 million? Do you think James Van Riemsdyk is worth $1 million a year?
At this point of his career, I mean, it's as a depth forward. I mean, I think that's probably the going. And again, counting for free agency, $1 million's probably right around what I would. That's it's not something where my eyeballs popped out of my skull. Let's put it that way.
Power play specialist.
Power play specialist, and again, it's just at this point of his career, I just don't see much more than that, or there wasn't. Again, considering trade deadline, there that's a good indicator of how much of how much teams were interested in James Van Riemsdyk at what his number was. So for him to sign on a 1 year, $1 million contract doesn't shock me. It really doesn't.
Right.
Now, when the announcement came down of the 3-year contract for Ryan Reeves, Russ and Eck were apoplectic, and I was just the cap hit is the important thing here. It was $1.35 million, which
I wasn't happy about that.
you were like, oh my God, it's 3 years. It's like,
Well, we were just saying 3 years is bad. Here's
it doesn't matter.
It's an over 35. We know that.
Right.
It's going to be an over 35. So if they're getting, depending on how tight they are to the cap, the Leafs,
they can demote him. You can bury $1.125 million of that deal if you place him on waivers. And the thing is, this is going to be like a Wayne Simmons contract. He's going to get put on waivers, and nobody will claim him because it's a 3-year deal. And then they clear the $1 million, and then they call him up when they need him. That's what's going to
right. But the thing is, they even said on TSN, they don't even believe he could play in the playoffs with the Leafs. He just doesn't have the skill level.
Who I'd like to see who said that.
GSM, who said it? Punch it in there.
Yeah, please.
But he only had 7 fights last year. It's not like, again, that's it. There's a limited use for him. But okay.
Well, but Russ,
go Toronto.
They believe that what he does bring is something that they need, and I can't argue against that. Now, had they paid him $2 million, then I would have said you're right. But it's $1.3 million, so it's not a big deal.
No, it's not that big of a deal.
No.
There's going to, like I said, Gus is weird. Like I said before, looking for over for 4 years.
He's not getting 4 years.
I don't think he's going to get 4 years. I know there had been some discussion about if he wanted to go shorter, that he possibly considering Florida, but I think he's probably looking. He's at this point now, at his point of his career, you're looking for that certain
last payday.
Well, he's coming off of his best.
Well, I wouldn't call it a last payday. I would say this is the legacy contract here.
Yeah, what's the last long-term payday? He won't get long-term after this.
Right. So that's what you want to try to maybe lock in. The question is which teams and what's your situation. I mean, what are you at the point of your career where you're pursuing a cup? If you end up in Florida, that's a possibility of being able to get that run in and maybe be able to cash the following year.
We're at the point in the NHL where even if you're a 40-point defenseman, if you're just that and not much else, you're not as worth as much as you were 5 years ago.
Right.
Teams now want, even with the 40-point guys, they want more defense. And if they don't get it, you're very expendable. That's the reality.
Yeah.
That is the reality. Wow. Okay. Let me go to my thing here a second. So a couple things here. The Tyler Bertuzzi is still is going to be the interesting one that look to next now. Now that Ryan O'Reilly's gone, to me, Bertuzzi is the one that the teams that were looking at O'Reilly are now going to look to Bertuzzi.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right, and I'll say this: and there's been more than a few people who have said Toronto is in on Bertuzzi. If Toronto signs Bertuzzi, then Nylander is gone because it makes no sense for them to sign Bertuzzi for say $6 million, $6.5 million on a long-term deal, and them keeping Nylander, they would, even though like, okay, they might say, let's load up for 1 year, and no, they have to.
It's a pathway. It's a pathway also where you might be able to get, since you've lost Shen, if you do sign Bertuzzi and then you're able to maybe swap Nylander for a defenseman and maybe other assets.
Yes. I'm just guessing, and this is just me guessing, but my gut's telling me the Leafs are going to go over and do the summer cap thing and figure it out in training camp. That's my guess.
It's entirely possible.
Well, they still have Brandon Pridham around, so yeah, yep. they will work their cap magic. But
yes,
you're gonna work the calculator till it smokes.
Yeah, the Islanders and Seattle both have interest in Pierre-Edouard Bellemare.
Yeah, everybody likes him.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's a really interesting player.
Good veteran forward.
Veteran can play up, can play down. He can play with skill guys.
Here you go. Molly Walker just posted. Blake Wheeler 1 year, $800K.
Oh, that's great. You can't argue that.
So Wheeler's going to the Rangers.
If you want to be a Ranger, you play for the Rangers. It's the rules. It's how it goes. So,
there you go, Russ. There you go.
Can't say a word.
That's ready. 800,000 coming next month. Next, Russ. It's like you're gonna see the same thing. I think.
But see, here's the benefit of teams like the Rangers and teams like the Leafs that are competitive and in big markets. Players will take less to play for 1 year. You saw it with Spezza with Toronto. You see it with Wheeler here. I mean, there are going to be players that Brad Treliving brings in Toronto, and maybe Drury brings in more with the Rangers that will sign for 1 year, sign up just to play on Broadway or just to play in Toronto because they can sell their wares. I mean, if Wheeler has a big year with the Rangers, he can turn around next year with the cap going up and cash in.
Yeah, at 37, I don't know if he can cash in, but he can get more money. Here's a problem, though. The big problem with the Rangers is now you're really eliminating what Kakko and Lafreniere can do. And that's fine. You're now gone down that path. They've already went mostly down that path as far as the way they've not developed them. And now you're pretty much not developing them more. So they're going down this path. And if they get Pacioretty at 800, then both those guys are on the third and fourth lines. And if that's what you want, okay, Rangers, that's what you want. But, whatever.
Connor Hellebuyck. Okay, so like I said, the Devils bailed on this because the price was way too high. What they were asking, not the price of him as a player, but just the asking price from Winnipeg was way too high.
Well, I still think the price would have been like $9 million for him.
Eventually, yeah, like when he
eventually, and I don't think they would pay that.
Yeah. I mean, but if you're thinking about short term for him,
if it was short term, sure. Is he really going anywhere short term? I don't know about that.
I think he just wants out. I think he just wants out of Winnipeg.
He might. Maybe he will.
Yeah. Now, there is, from what I was just told by talking to somebody else about this, there is a team that has offered what Winnipeg wants. So, but then they're trying to just get a better deal, basically. So, who that team is, I don't know. Like, and my guess from the person I'm talking to, and his guess was that it was Buffalo. That Buffalo offered what the hell. So if the Sabres could be the front runner for Hellebuyck now. It's more of an educated guess based on other things happening. And here's a team too that could take him short term, like we talked about. Like they need somebody to fill in that. They need somebody to give them a chance to make the playoffs the next couple years. And then
see that. Okay, yeah. If they get him for 2 years, that's fine. If they get him for 1 year and they're gonna just roll the dice on Levi at that point, I still think it's silly. But I will tell you, Kevin Adams was asked about Levi, and he's gushing about him still. So it's like, I get it. Hold on, Mike. I get it. But if they're getting Hellebuyck for only 1 year, I think that's a mistake. If they get him for 2, I get it.
They're not trading for Hellebuyck. They're just not. They're not interested in expending the assets to get him for 1 year and blocking Levi. Adams thinks Levi is a future number one. The problem with the Sabres right now is the here and the now. They need to make the playoffs this year. but they don't want to give up like a Yuri Kulik or Isaac Rosine or one of their top prospects to get a goaltender like Hellebuck. That's why, if they can get a goaltender for a year, they can sign somebody like, say, Korpisalo gets the music stops and Korpisalo is without a job. I could see the Sabres signing him to a 1-year deal and splitting time between him and Levi. Have a veteran goaltender who can play 30 to 35 games and take the pressure off the kid. If you stick him out there,
Jonathan Quick, the Rangers is done official.
Yeah. If you stick Levi out there for 50, 55, 60 games, and he gets burnt as a 21-year-old, you're doing the same stupid thing that Columbus did a few years ago with Steve Mason, and we've seen a number of young goaltenders get burned out, no matter how good they were, by putting too much pressure on them right off the top. I mean, I hope that that's not what they're going to do, but they seem to love him, Anthony. They seem to love Levi so much that they have the trust that they think he's going to be that goaltender, but he doesn't have to be that goaltender right this season. Give him
I'm usually again pretty conservative with regards, especially when it comes to goaltenders, because they take the longest to develop. But I would also, you also have the outlier of Carter Hart too. Sometimes a player is ready to go at the beginning, sooner than expected. But yeah, I would be far more looking at a slower play when it came to Levi, at least this season.
So okay,
you're also in on Connor Hellebuck, by the way.
Okay, Jonathan Quick, 1 year, $825K plus bonuses. Blake Wheeler, 1 year, $800,000 plus bonuses. So same type of deal with the Rangers. So there you go. I mean, that's the Rangers seem to be following the pattern here. Bring in veteran guys as support players who are willing to take take basically league minimum plus to come in. That's fine. I think, and like I said, I think Toronto will do that. I think a couple other teams will do that. And that's
I concur.
But Buffalo, I watched.
With the Rangers, Russ. He's on the phone. But the problem with the Rangers going for these guys, like say they get Pacioretty for $800,000 too. I mean, you're blocking other players, from development.
Well, if they bring in Pacioretty on top of these two, you're right. But I don't know if I can see them doing that too. Now the thing is with Pacioretty, he might not be ready until January. I mean, he's coming off a second Achilles injury, so they're going to take it slow. Any team that signs him or Patrick Kane, it's going to probably be under the anticipation that he's not going to be available for the first half of the season, or at least.
So I did get an interesting call. Somebody thought, and this is not like an NHL insider, but it's still a good thought. There's a thinking now that the Bruins aren't going to re-sign Garnet Hathaway, and he might go to the Rangers too.
Really?
Okay.
Wow. Interesting.
Remember, Laviolette had him.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I immediately was about to say that's a Laviolette connection there. Yeah.
I was saying, Russ, that the problem with bringing in some of these guys like a Wheeler is you're blocking some young guys from playing.
Of course, and he's a little slower. Like we know he's a little slower, but for 1 year, the big body, I get it.
Does that mean they're not going to bring back Tyler Mott?
It may mean if they get Pacioretty and they consider Hathaway, Mott's a goner, and then I think Kakko or Lafreniere is a goner at some point. They just don't want to do it now because it's bad optics, but it doesn't mean they won't do it at the deadline or something. Like, all I'm saying is this. They should have gotten at least Lafreniere a better shot so you could have an idea of where he's at. Look, he had 39 points. That's not terrible, but he can be better than that, but I don't know how much better. I don't. But the idea is they don't either. And so now they're just reverting back to the Rangers way of like, well, look, we've got this window to win the Stanley Cup. We're just going to get all these veterans again. And if they all of a sudden sign Kane when he's off the injured list and you're loaded down with 30-something-year-olds, they're the exact opposite of what they were 2 years ago.
Right. And they're going back to their old ways, they're going back to the way. They're going back to the ways that got them in a lot of trouble.
This always seems to happen, doesn't it, Russ?
It does. It's
the minute they start to get some modicum of success into the postseason, they just start to go hard in on the vets.
Yep. It's always happened. Always.
There is chatter about Lucic going back to Boston.
Yeah, there is. That sounds like it's going to happen too. So that's why I wrote yesterday. Like Lucic and Reeves will become good friends. In Boston. And there are teams. I just talked to somebody. There are teams talking to Patrick Kane today. Already. And so even though he's not going to be able to be played for a while, I think there'd be a good chance we could see him signed today by somebody.
But okay, here's the question to the panel here. What do we think? We know it's Patrick Kane. We know he's a Hall of Famer. We know he's a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. We know when he's healthy, he's still probably a difference maker. Russ may disagree, but if he's healthy, that's a possibility. But
we don't know. He was healthy last year. Yeah, you're
right. No, I mean, if he had the surgery, then we know he wasn't healthy. But the question is, what is he going to get as a signing, as a 1-year deal? On a 1-year deal, I mean,
he's getting $3 million at the very least.
I think that's about right, Russ. Maybe 2.5.
Nick Foligno's getting $4 million, right?
Right. Yeah.
By his old team, by Chicago, by Kane's old team, he's not going to settle for less than 4.
CJ's reporting Freddie Anderson back to the Hurricanes, 2-year deal at $3.5 million AAV. So they're spending $7 for the team that is supposedly fiscally responsible. They're spending $7 million on goaltending and burying $2 million of it in the minors. Brilliant.
And they have maybe one good goalie in that group. I'm not saying that like I shouldn't say that.
No, but we're all saying they don't really have a Stanley Cup difference-making goalie. Now, Aiden Hill didn't seem like that either, but we've had a much more longer look at these guys than we did ever for Aiden Hill.
If I'm the agent for Peter Kochetkov, I think it's Daniel Milstein, but if I'm the agent for him, I ask to be traded right now.
Yeah, it's a little soon for that, but in another year, yes.
Or over the summer. And again, we got a long season ahead of you, and if you get Kochetkov gets on a good enough run there, he's going to give Carolina that food for thought. It's up to him.
Yeah,
it's up.
It is up to him.
To finish the thought on Patrick Kane for a second, I think from what I've been told about people who are near and dear to Patrick Kane is he just wants to play somewhere where he can win. So like it's not going to be about any place Patrick Kane wants to go where they could win is a team that's not going to have much cap space at all because any team that can win is up against it, right? So
right, but again, the problem when you bring Patrick Kane is even if he's coming at less money, there's a lot of alterations that all of a sudden happen to your team that can make him better or can make him worse. Last year, we saw him make the Rangers worse.
Mackenzie Blackwood's deal with San Jose was 2 years at 2.35 per. So
that's not bad if he could recover his form. Yeah, then it's a smart deal.
Fascinating though, because again, we had reports as of yesterday that that San Jose was just about ready to walk away from him.
Right, we did. So they probably
and that suddenly changed. That changed.
That changed.
They did it because they didn't want the qualifying offer would have been only for 1 year. They wanted term. They wanted to negotiate, and I think what he's making now is what he was supposed to make on the qualifying offer. They just
still though getting floated out there says a lot.
Just interesting here. The Devils with 2 signings, both former Mississauga Steelheads, Russ, Nathan Bastian and Michael McLeod, both making around the same. Bastian 2 years at 1.35, McLeod 1 year at 1.4. They're the same type of player, big, fast, physical.
Yep. Can score a little bit.
Can score a little bit. Not bad. Not bad.
No, those are good. Yeah. Those are good deals. McLeod was never going to be what he was in juniors. Like we all kind of figured that one out, but he's still fast and he still can make some plays happen. And Bastian's got pretty good hands around the net. So
let's just say they're better than the guys that they played with at Mississauga. The guy that they played with at Mississauga, which is Alex Nylander, who never.
No, yeah, he never materialized.
So
I guess Pittsburgh still has him, but.
Yeah, 3.4, and they signed him too. 3.4 million AAV for 2 years for Freddie Anderson. 3.4.
Yeah, I mean that's right up Carolina's alley, but again, I think it's just like a dead alley. Like I think it's just a dead end alley. I do.
I'll make a cookie wager because you owe me about 10 cookies. I'll bet you half of my cookies, 5, that Erik Karlsson ends up with Carolina and not Toronto.
All right.
Okay.
I'll do that. I got
Yeah,
that.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I'm-
he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna end up in Carolina. I could see Seattle. Seattle
Yeah.
makes sense to me because they still lack that guy. He could walk in there and really just transform their whole power play and really give them that little extra push that they kind of needed last year when they were in the playoffs that they didn't have. Carlson would do that.
Yeah, he'd be a points creator. He'd be an offensive.
Yes.
I'm hearing some Corpusalo with LA possibly
There you
signing,
go.
signing back, but I don't know yet. It's not definite. It's just
It's a weird thing with LA right now with these goalies because they make the wrong decision. They're not going as far as they'd like in the playoffs. Like that's just that simple.
If you're a goalie right now, you're trying to get signed as fast as you possibly can because
Oh
there
yeah,
are,
the
like,
goalie market's drying up quick.
and I knew that I predicted that this would be the crazy thing about the beginning of this year's market because there's no there are not that many spots and there's lots of goalies and so the Jets. I mean, apparently, like if they're gonna play hardball with Hellebuck, that for this 1 year deal that he's because he's only got one more year on his contract. If you're gonna play hardball with him, I guess maybe they're just gonna wait and see what happens. Like they're gonna.
This is also when it comes to the goalie market where, depending on whatever, once we get the word on the Hockey Canada report, what might happen here, obviously, where Carter Hart's market suddenly may skyrocket
Right.
because, the first wave is going.
I did
Right.
hear the thought that the Jets would go back to Hellebuck to see if he would reconsider signing an extension after they did so well because they did great on the deal for Dubois. They got a lot more than anybody thought that they were going to get. They got 3 players for Dubois, and that was a good deal. But
Yost is back.
What's that?
Tyson Sabres announced Tyson Yost is back on a 1 year.
No, that's smart. I mean, look, we know what kind of player he is now, and that's fine.
Cam Talbot with LA is official.
There's something they must see that they figure they could fix because he did look good for the first couple of months of last season. We all have to admit that. We were like, wow, Cam Talbot really, he looks like he's back. They must see something.
Yeah. That's I mean, and I don't know what that means with Corpusalo. Like there are some games being played right now. You know what I mean? That's
Well, you don't play a game to sign a guy for that much, though. You know what I mean? Like,
no, but I'm just saying I don't know how big the deal is, but I think that there was like a game being played with Corpusalo's people. Saying like we're gonna sign Talbot. No, you're not. We're gonna sign Talbot. No, you're not. We're gonna sign Talbot.
well,
no,
because
you're not.
I'm sure Talbot's getting 2.5 or 3. I mean,
I don't know yet. I'm looking on that one. But
I mean, I don't think he's taking that job with the intention of being the backup. Now he could end up that way, but I don't think he's taking that job with the intention of being the backup.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. But he never does. Like Cam Talbot has taken a lot of jobs without the intention of being a backup. He's been in that spot before.
He has.
Really, where he goes, it seems like he's going to a situation where he's going to fight for a job. But maybe this means Corpusalo is moving on, and maybe this means Corpusalo in Pittsburgh is happening because that's another thing.
That could happen. I still think Pittsburgh's negotiating with Jarry. I think there's that. I think that's still going on too.
Well,
if
that is the case. I mean, right now Kyle Dubas is taking his marching orders from Mike Sullivan because Mike Sullivan wants Tristan Jarry back.
Right, and maybe Dubas is doing the smart thing here and letting the goalie market dry up a little, and then going back to Tristan and saying, "Hey, listen, you want to do this or not? Because otherwise, we got to go elsewhere because this market's drying up." And maybe they can push him to sign at their number.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. That's possible. I know. So my site just decided to post Cam Talbot to the Kings 3 times, but I'm not going to worry about that.
They feel very good about it.
They do. But the problem is like when you're getting this, our site is getting slammed with traffic. So if I delete that, I'm afraid I'll screw up the whole site. So I'm just leaving it. So anyway, excuse the site having him up there 3 times. I apologize.
Well, we're doing better than Twitter, so that's all we can say.
Yeah, we're up. That's the case. I know Twitter is not doing well at all. So the Penguins, I think they are interested in Jarry. I don't think they're as interested as they were before.
Okay.
Because Jarry had 2 camps in Pittsburgh, and most of the one camp, the camp that liked him was led by Hextall. So Hextall really liked Tristan Jarry a lot. So that's I don't know. That's what I'm not sure about. Korpisalo. Oh wait, the Sens have signed Korpisalo. There you go.
There's your goalie.
They basically traded each other.
I was gonna say that's a goal. That's basically a trade. Basically, Talbot for Korpisalo.
Korpisalo is going to make more than Talbot is.
I'll only post him once. Hopefully.
I don't know. I like Korpisalo. If this is Ottawa getting him, thinking that he is going to lead them to the playoffs, like he hasn't led anybody to the playoffs in a while.
Well,
yes, but I think
it's a question of the Korpisalo. It's a question of which Korpisalo, which Korpisalo is the real Korpisalo, the one that had the injuries for Columbus after the way he performed in the bubble, and then he had I think it was the hip surgery, and he came back and he played really well for the Kings in the playoffs last year. If that's the real Korpisalo, the one before the injury and after the injury, after the surgery, then Ottawa got themselves a starting goaltender.
Sounds a lot like Matt Murray. Sorry, when they got him.
Yeah, but Matt Murray's injury was chronic. I mean, Korpisalo was healthy after the surgery.
Couple signings, guys.
Okay.
Tyler Pitlick is going to the Rangers. 1 year, $787,500. So he's going to the Rangers, and Kyle Burrows is signing with the Sharks. 3 years, $1.1 million from San Jose. First one, Pitlick was from Frank Saravalli, and the other one was from Elliot, and Burrows was Elliot Friedman.
There you go. Pitlick, Rush, you have more chance to watch Tyler Pitlick. Yeah, I don't have much.
Yeah, I didn't see him enough here. So
Korpisalo, did you guys get the numbers on the Korpisalo deal? I have it now. It's 5 years. 5 years, $20 million. From Dave Pagnotta. So $4 million. So basically, yeah, there it is. $4 million a year for $4 million a year for units.
That is a bad contract. I'm sorry, that's a bad contract.
It's a big contract.
It's a bad contract.
Actually, Sens just released it. Yeah, Sens actually it was just released by the Senate. That was 4 minutes ago from the Senators. That was 5 years at $4 million. Breakdown of the contract, by the way, is $4 million in 23-24. $5 million in 24-25, $4.5 million in 25-26. That seems to be the apex of the deal. Then it starts to drop to 3.5 and $3 million in the final 2 years of the deal when the deal concludes in 27-28.
Jesus.
I was just told James have been talking and have interest in Matt Dumba, and the
Kings or the Canes?
Oh, big one here. Here's one. Here's
Flames.
one.
Okay.
Eric Johnson is signing with the Sabres, $3.25 million for next season.
I predicted that. I said that.
That was from Steve Wino. That was from Steve Wino. Yeah.
The Sabres must be listening, Mike.
It's a good sign.
Okay, here's my rationale. Cup winner, right-hand shot, big. They want a guy who's a leader, who could play alongside Owen Power, but I bet you, is it 1 year, Anthony?
The 1 year deal, and also Elliot Friedman's reporting Radko Gudas is closing in on a deal with the Anaheim Ducks.
He went for the money.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But what, did they say anything on Johnson? Was it in terms of cap hit?
$3.25 million for next season.
1 year. There you go.
This is Wino. He's saying three. He says he signed with the Sabres 3.25 for next season. So that would be that sounds like that's what that is. As Twitter worked for a brief second and now is going Kaflooey on me again.
That's good. The good one Twitter's like, you're getting out some good things.
Yes. Thank you, Elon.
Anaheim.
Hey, watch.
Anaheim with Gudas. That's surprising. That's a little surprising because but you're right.
Yeah, some youngish players there, and that's to kind of to remake a little bit, I guess, to have that extra element on that blue line with some young defensemen and a relatively young team to have a guy like Gudas in there. I don't know necessarily from the team play discipline standpoint, although again, Radko's been better. Radko certainly has been better at that in recent years. So he's definitely. I think it's a good good signing, I think, depending on what the numbers obviously are for him. But
Well,
I
his
think
stock
definitely-
obviously was risen a lot from the playoffs. Like
from the playoffs, absolutely was a huge factor in his.
he became like a star in the playoffs, basically. Like he went from being like 4, 5, 6 guy to like a star in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: the Sabres did not remember. There was talk about them being in on Mayfield, on Gudis, on making trades for Pesci or Noah Hannafin. They chose to go short term with a veteran guy because they're going to spend money on Dahlin probably in the next week on a long deal. They're going to re-sign Owen Power on a long-term deal. They didn't want to lock them, and they didn't trade for Travis Sanheim. They didn't want to lock up money on a fourth defenseman when they're going to be paying 3. So this is pretty smart business by Kevin Adams.
3 years, $4 million a year for Gudis.
3 years, $4 million per.
Yeah.
That's about the limit for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right at the. I would say that'd be right at the upper echelon there. So I don't blame him on that. That's a good contract to get at this point of his career for sure.
Right. Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, he's especially because he's started to break down a little bit too. He's starting to get hurt a lot, and that's another thing. It's just
he plays a heavy game, so
he does. There's no question about it. Interesting. We haven't heard anything about Bertuzzi. There's definitely a.
I could see that being a day. I could see with negotiations and a bunch of teams being in on it that he could very well go through this evening or through tomorrow.
Yeah,
but I don't think he goes longer than that.
I still have a weird feeling that he's going to end up back in Boston. And even though they say that he's not going to end up there, I've talked to people who think that they think that he is. I don't know how they would do it necessarily, because they keep saying they can't do it. But maybe they can. Maybe they know something. I mean, because maybe they know something that they're not telling people. But there's something there, I think. I think that because some of the teams I talked to yesterday, who I know were teams that have been rumored to be interested in Bertuzzi, believe he's going back to Boston still. Even yesterday, even after he made that announcement, the statement that he wasn't going to.
I spoke to someone in Boston.
Just because you're going to market doesn't necessarily mean.
Right.
Again, it's all it is. He's going out. He's going to get numbers, and Boston will decide what their threshold of pain is.
Yeah, I spoke to someone in that market. They don't believe they could afford him.
Yeah, that's the belief. There's no question about that, and that's the sign they're putting out to the press too. That's definitely what they're putting out there. But when people are trying to talk to him about coming there, they're getting the impression that Boston still has the inside track. So it's who knows.
I don't think Bertuzzi's going to take less though. He's been looking for this payday.
No.
Yeah, and he's worked hard to get to it, so he should.
He has.
I mean,
no question about it.
Yeah,
I still think the Korpisalo signing's the worst.
Really,
that's my feeling. Yes.
So far, I would say in terms of silly season money, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So we also had, since I popped on here, I hadn't discussed this with you, but Adam Fantilli told you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, but they really
said it yesterday. Like it was, I guarantee you, Columbus just put the full court press on.
No, they did. They really did, and that's what somebody else said to me on Twitter. Like, hey, it feels like they rushed him into the decision, and I'm like, I guess so. I mean, hey, look, I didn't expect that. It's 100% based on what he told me that it would stand up. I'm surprised it was so quick and that he did it. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the best thing for him. I can't say it is.
Who can say?
No one can say. Sorry.
But you did say that.
Yeah. All right.
It's just based off what the conversation was and what he
said.
Yeah. Whatever in the phrase he says, whatever Columbus, if the man thinks this is best for me, then I'll go with it. So it's kind of tough. Again, you can always go back and get, if you're looking for the degree, you can always go back and just pay a little tuition.
Yeah.
So all the guys who are going to be bought out, right? Did they have to clear waivers first?
Yes.
Today?
Yes, they all did. They all did.
Cleared waivers, but but just it's interesting. So the whole thing about that, I don't know how. I'm sure people were talking to him anyway, but Connor Brown to Evans, we got that one.
Connor
Reimer
Brown
to the Red Wings. Reimer to the Red Wings. I don't know if you saw that one or not, but
Reimer to the Red Wings. Okay.
Yep.
I bet you it's cheap.
Oh, that has to be cheap.
Connor Brown did I read that correctly? He went to Edmonton.
Yeah. No, I like that. Connor Brown.
Yeah, there's familiarity there, obviously.
Long prophesized, right? Like that's been like We're gonna see that eventually. That's what the feeling was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of it's just happening fast and furious here. Both my all my text things. Sorry. So gonna need someone else to talk for a second because 1 second.
Hold on. Sorry.
Mike, this is your job. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm
Mike, talk anything.
trying to do two things at once. I'm sorry.
I know.
I was doing the same thing too.
I'm literally kidding.
Riley Nash to the Rangers.
Yeah, that's probably for Hartford.
And Morgan
What?
Geeky's leaving Seattle to going to Boston. 2 years, $2 million.
Did you see 1 year, $4 million for Connor Brown?
Yes.
But he is an offensive guy.
I know, and I like him, but wow, I'm surprised Edmonton's spending $4 million.
If Connor says bring him, the other Connor, then they bring him.
It's called the Connor Club. Bring me
I like
all
it.
your bring me all the Connors.
I like Geeky a lot, Russ. I think Geeky.
Yeah, Riley Nash has been in the minors for a couple of years.
I like.
Which Geeky?
He was good. He's been pretty good in Seattle. Morgan Geeky.
They got Geeky. Then they get.
Oh no, Morgan Geeky's good. Yeah, I like
he was
Morgan
with
Geeky.
Seattle. He's with Seattle. So it's a good.
They got the
move. I
good
like
Geeky,
that
right?
for Boston.
Seattle, right?
Well,
And it's also
the other
it'll fit-
Geeky's young. We're going to see what happens with him,
Yeah,
with Connor.
but Morgan, this is a solid. I think it's a solid move. I think that's and again, Boston's filling things out, so they may be again for those free agents now. They're going again. That's within affordability, lower cost. Geeky at $2
They're
million.
filling the centers.
They're filling that JVR. They get the wing. We'll see what. Obviously, I think Lucic, whenever that's announced, will be pretty low.
Well, now they have three centers because they have Geeky, Zaka, and Charlie Coyle. So
Still,
and
though,
Trent
it's not-
Frederick. Trent Frederick could play fourth line center.
This is true. One thing I'm looking at least with Philly, I wanted to see if there's a fourth line center that they're looking at right now. So things are fairly quiet on that front. There's a couple areas for that and like a veteran depth defenseman. That's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
like a 7 defenseman, number 7.
Yeah, exactly. That was the conversation we had. For
They
Philly.
really are they really are. What I've been able to tell with Philly is like that they're going to wait. They're going to wait out the silly season.
They should, and they should. There's no point. They're in a mode right now where you're trying to divest salary.
Yeah, you can see. I mean, for lack of a better term, they could see what's laying around on Monday, and if they feel somebody can come in at low cost for a year, they'll do it.
Right.
Yeah,
You're looking
exactly.
basically for like the the Justin Braun replacement.
Right.
Primarily.
Right. I agree with that. So we haven't really heard any talk on Matt Duchene yet. And I'm trying.
That's going to take I think that one's going to take a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, nobody thought he was going to be a free agent, so I bet you it's going to take a couple days to generate a market.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard Boston could take a run at him for very cheap. But now they're doing all these other things. Perhaps they won't.
Yeah, I don't know if they will. We know he's not going to go back to Colorado, so you can cross Colorado off.
Right.
Yeah, not for sure. But the Islanders are another one that could go cheap on Matt Duchene if they get a chance, because that would make some sense. For
They
them.
could.
I mean, that
Would make
brings in
sense.
Scoring that they need.
What about
Calgary.
Boston?
And speed. We said Boston. He did.
Boston's the thing. I heard
Boston's
was
possible,
the big-
especially if they know they're they're losing Krejci. Obviously, we don't know where things are with Bergeron, so
Right. Exactly.
that is a possibility. I guess if he ends up in Boston, then for sure
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
things are at.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But also Calgary's another team to sneaky watch for Matt Duchene. Calgary's going to do some things here. We just don't. They're dealing with, of course, a couple players out, so that's a problem.
Well, they're sort of in a lockdown right now because they have to decide what they're going to do with Hannafin because he doesn't want to resign. Lindholm is in limbo. Backlund is in limbo. So they've got all these situations that I think they have to find out what's going to happen with them before they can really go into free agency. Because if they sign somebody, then they've sort of, let everybody know, okay, there's our replacement. Now we have to trade him. Now we have to trade him.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, the one thing about that I'm being told like online about Boston is, and I agree with this, I didn't like the Charlie Coyle sign when they did it, and that contract's not going to age well either.
Mhm.
Lucius is
By the way,
done.
did you-
Lucius with the Bruins is done officially. Was that just announced on Twitter too? I don't know. Anyway, I
Lucic
heard
is done.
Lucius
Is that what you said?
Yeah, 1 year deal
with
Up to where?
with the Bruins. Yeah, Lucic.
Shut them.
So,
Great.
Yeah, they had to bring him back to replace. Bergeron's gone, Krejci's gone. We have to bring somebody of the old gang together. Why not?
Mhm.
this
You
team
guys
is
are
the best in the history of the NHL. And look what they've done today. I mean, it's a little bit interesting. For sure. I mean, you have to take it into account. Like, they are not taking steps forward here with these signings. In my opinion. I mean, Geeky, I
Which
like.
team?
But
Which team are you talking about? Because it's
Bruins.
delayed. No, I agree.
The Bruins.
I agree.
Sorry, my delay again. Sorry.
Yeah, just a smidge. I think they're just trying to survive. I think they're trying to not bottom out in front of the fan base yet, but it could be coming in a couple of years, and
Mhm.
that's what they're trying to just stave off right now.
Is New Jersey the best team in the Eastern Conference?
No,
Not yet, but they're close.
Who is?
I mean,
I don't know
Yeah,
yet. I'll wait until after free agency.
I find if they're not, they are right there.
I think they're there. I think they're there.
I don't think they're there because of the goaltending. Let me see what happens at the
That's
in
literally the
in
only
about a
thing
week
that
or
holds
two.
them. That's literally
Right.
the only thing. The rest of it is.
Otherwise, I still say Carolina's the best team, and I don't love their goaltending.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think I still like the Rangers a lot. I really do.
Oh, I like
But-
them a lot, but I think compared to these two teams, they're third.
And Florida has to be taken into account.
Someone's saying the Flyers are signing Max Comtois.
wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's
That makes
That
a
is
sports player.
that is what they're looking for.
That is
exactly.
a sports player.
That is a Torts player. That's the kind of player. So this is from Matt Gaff. I can't read because I'm looking at our comments here. So I'm
That's
not
fine.
sure if that just. I'm going to go to my email here and see if it's showing up here. If that's
Oh, so Quick took 825. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Lane
I
Peterson.
thought he was
2
going to
years.
get more than that.
So Lane Peterson signed 2 years in Edmonton.
But Comtois makes a whole lot of sense for Philly.
Oh,
He
yeah.
really, really does.
Listen,
Yeah.
he's a great guy. I'll enjoy
Oh, that's
interviewing
yeah.
Comtois again. He's fun.
If they, once they
But
get
he's
a
not. He's not come through the way he should have in his NHL career yet.
Clifton is signing with the Sabres.
Yeah, that's a good signing for them.
You got that one already, or no? I'm not sure. You did.
No, I
Anyway,
like the signing though. I mean, that's good.
Connor Clifton. Yep, that's
Good.
a good bottom pairing
3 years, 3.3 million.
for who?
See,
Connor Clifton.
his previous team couldn't pay
This
that.
is really friggin' annoying.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of an overpay.
It's a little high.
Tampa Bay also got Glendening. Glendening, another guy.
Yeah, I mean that's smart for them.
I'm shocked he didn't go to Columbus. We know the love affair that Mike Babcock
Babcock.
has with Luke Glendening.
True. Oh, okay, let me get some of these things updated. on my
Unless
phone.
Glendening doesn't want to play for him.
Yes.
Trying to get confirmation on.
He survived it the first time. Maybe he doesn't want to survive it the second time.
What do you guys think of Clifton with the Sabres? You like that?
I think that's
Yeah, I
a little.
do.
I think that's a little bit of an overpay, but he's a solid. See, okay, they're look at their defense now. You've got Darlene and Power as your linchpin top pairing.
I'll
We're
be
not-
back in a second, guys.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
We bring in Dan Petra to the show. Welcome, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, I'm at work.
Good to see you, man.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
get
thought
to,
they were going down.
I get to direct a lovely Mets game in a couple hours. So, that's my Saturday. God
Don't
bless
start with the
America.
Mets. If you're going to start with the Mets, you could leave.
What, you think they're good?
No.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Let's
They're
start.
the second worst team money could buy.
Let's start with this, Dan, because we want to start with anything Islanders. So I didn't see the amount on the Varlamov extension or the term, but what are your thoughts on him coming back?
It's fine. He's a perfectly capable backup goalie at this point in his career. He's best friends with Sorokin. Keeps everybody happy. I don't have an issue with it. It's fine. I don't love
But Dan, what
coming
do you-
back, no.
You don't think he
You
will?
don't like it?
No, I don't like it. I would not bring him back.
Why?
Because let's see, Luke keeps bringing back the same players year after year after year, and they've won what? What have they won? He is a bottom pairing defenseman who's going to get paid like a middle pairing defenseman. He cannot skate. He has limited offensive ability. I think Connor Clifton would have been a better fit as his replacement.
Well, you saw what he's getting paid, so I don't know if they'd have paid him that.
I think Mayfield's going to get $3 or $4 million. It's going to be disgusting.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's say you got your wish, he wasn't coming back. Who are you putting there? Because they do have to have a rock solid defense because they don't score enough.
I don't know. Let's see. We have no cap space. We have no prospects. We have no draft picks.
No, hold on. You have some prospects, but not a lot.
We are in hockey purgatory. We're not.
I miss Dad. It's good to see you, Dad.
We're not good enough to compete for the cup, and we're not bad enough to be in the top 5. We are the last team in the playoffs or the first team out. Hockey purgatory.
No, that's fair. I mean, I can't argue with that. Offensively,
it's up to Lou. It's up to Lou to figure this out, or maybe Lou can get a stroke or something, and we can get a GM in. I don't know. Look, they keep bringing back it's like you keep bringing back the same thing and expecting different results. We know what the issues are in this team, and that hasn't been addressed.
Will they address the offense in this free agent period?
I would like to see them go after. I'm looking through the bottom of a coffee cup to try and find top 6 forwards right now. But I think Anthony Duclair is a guy who plays well with highly skilled players.
He does. That's good.
He's someone who could be affordable, and you put him. I would like to see him with Horvat and Barzal and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think Duchesne would be a good fit in the second line. Look, I know what this team needs to do. It's just they don't have the balls to do it. If you buy out Anders Lee, you save $6 million a year.
Oh yeah, they'll never do it.
But they'll never do it because he's their captain. He's their captain and intangibles. But he can't skate anymore. He can't skate, and he's a third-line player. I mean, I love the guy to death. He's one of my favorite players. But you have to look at this team and say, like, how do I make this team better? There's cap space right there.
Yeah, I mean, Duchesne would be a good idea. We talked about that before you got on. I would agree with that.
As you can see, I'm in love with my current roster.
Oh man, I heard them move. They're trying to move Wahlberg. Do you like that idea?
Wahlstrom? I don't understand why they would. I mean, he's one of the few players that I think they have that has value on the trade market. I mean, are they swinging him for a defenseman? Are they swinging him for top 6 help? I don't know. He has talent. He's inconsistent. He was on a 45-point clip before he got hurt last year.
Right.
He has a wicked release.
He does. I still wouldn't mess with getting rid of him. I wouldn't either.
I'm like, look, unless it's a deal that significantly upgrades your team.
Right.
If someone's coming to me and I'm getting a bona fide, controllable top 6 forward, then I think about it. But I wouldn't be trading him now.
No,
I wouldn't either. I don't know. I know. That's what I wrote in my thing. So I'm surprised. That I heard his name mentioned. But they are definitely trying to get a defense, a defender up there. How about Gus?
If they lose,
I heard Gus Spear's name mentioned with them too. Just in the last couple of minutes.
I mean, they have the 31st ranked power play consistently for the past decade. So I guess, and
it's not for the last decade. That is not a true stat. I challenge that.
Okay, bottom 5, bottom 6, bottom tier.
Okay.
The reason they lost to Carolina was because of their special teams. They were fine 5. They were the better team 5-on-5.
Yeah, they were.
So they have to address their power play. So I mean, look, Gotha Spear isn't exactly a Bobby Orr back there, but he can run a power play, and I'd be willing. Look, if you are competent offensively, I will give you a chance.
Yeah.
I think Sorokin, between Sorokin and Varlamov, they can cover up enough mistakes. Now I'm even at a point now. Look, I'm going through this roster. How do you get this team more off? And look, Pulock and Pelech have almost become the same player. We didn't get the offense we thought we were going to get from Pulock.
Right.
Do you move Pulock maybe, because you can get a top 6 winger under control for him?
Yeah,
I know. I love both of them. I love that pairing. But if you're going to really address this, team, you're going to address these forwards, you might have to make a tough decision like that. I mean, if I'm Lou, I'm calling Winnipeg. Hey, who else you got? Is Connor available? Is God, who's the Austrian kid?
Ehlers.
Is Ehlers available? I mean, anybody who can. Yeah, I would definitely be giving Winnipeg a call.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do trade Ehlers now.
I mean,
now that they've made these changes.
Yeah.
Is there a way they could? I mean, they'd have to do some nifty things here. But the other name I heard mentioned with them, it might at least excite you a little bit, is Bertuzzi. Like that if he could.
I think Bertuzzi's going to get a terrible contract today. I
He
really do.
will.
Yeah.
He
Even
will.
though I like him, he is someone. He's like he's a Matt Kachuk like a light. A little bit. And you could plug him in. I think he would cause some chaos on this team. And I think in a good way. But I think he's going to get big money. I don't think it's going to be from the Islanders.
I'm going to give you your Islanders signing, and this will happen, Dan. This will happen at like 4 o'clock
16th.
today. Tyler Mott.
Where's he going to play?
I don't know. They'll find a spot.
We have 16 bottom 6 foot.
I know. That's why he's perfect.
So, I mean, is Parisi coming back? I don't know.
I don't even know if he knows if he's playing anymore.
He scored 22 goals last year.
I know.
Are you talking Zach or JP Parise?
I know, right?
No, listen. Zach had a much better year than I thought he would. But you know what it is? We all forget he's got a chronic back, and at some point, he's just going to say, "I've had enough."
Yeah, I mean, I think, another way you can save money too is you could also find a way to move Clutterbuck and Cizikas. That would save you about $5 million too.
Yeah, I mean, to
then
me that would be paramount to do that.
I think I might have just figured it out. Okay, so if you move those two, you have Fasching. Fasching is very nice and a good contract. Matt Martin played fantastic last year. He had maybe one of his best seasons. So you put those two, and maybe Simon Holmstrom could be your fourth line center. I think that's okay. You can't pay your fourth line $7 million.
No, I think there's a point where they have fallen in love with that fourth line, like it's a mainstay, but they got to move away from that.
Fasching was significantly better than Clutterbuck last year, and Clutterbuck always gets hurt. Maybe you buy one of them. Tough decisions now. You got guys in their early 30s, and you have to get younger. Look, I mean, this is one of the oldest teams in the league. They are slow, old, and boring. So I mean, they got to find a way to.
It's a terrible way to go through life.
It is. But also, hey, Mike. Mike, I know you're up in Canada, so thanks for the smoke behind me. That's lovely Lower Manhattan behind me.
Yeah, we don't have it as bad by me, but it's here in South Jersey too.
Well, Philadelphia always kind of looks like it's on fire anyway. So
that's fair. I can't argue that.
Man.
As you can see, I'm not super excited for my
No, this is not a great day for you.
No, I just don't. You have to, in order for this team to get out of the purgatory they're in, they have to make tough decisions. And I feel like the organization has fallen in love with some of these guys. And look, Josh Bailey was a great Islander, but it was a time. You have to move him, so you have to make hard decisions. And guys who have been career lifers, they can move. They can come back when they retire and work for the team. But that was the problem that Torrey fell in love. Torrey waited too long to move the core of the dynasty teams. And you're seeing something very similar now, except you have a hard salary cap.
Well, what's more fun to say, all right, guys, let's get a close-up of David Robertson's face when giving up a 3-run homer in the 9th, or waiting out Islanders free agency period?
Push. They're both bad. And I also, yeah. And then I'm sure the Knicks are going to do something stupid too. So
get James Harden.
The best run teams in New York right now are the Devils and the Liberty.
That's true.
Yeah.
And if the Devils get a goalie, they might be the best team in the Eastern Conference.
They will be if they actually get one.
I can't argue that, Dan, because the Yankees aren't Carlos Rodon has pitched 0 innings.
They got Hal Steinbrenner's cutting coupons. So, I mean, all of a sudden the Yankees are the small market little brother team in New York because we can't afford to get an outfielder because of the luxury tax. And Uncle Stevie.
Oh, come on. Willie Calhoun is a future superstar.
Uncle Stevie should be firing people, and he's not.
That's going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I know.
Rumor that I just got texted me is that the Blues are one of the teams heaviest in on DeBrincat. So,
that makes a lot of sense because Doug Armstrong is always looking for bargains.
Yeah.
And Connor Brown to Edmonton?
Yeah. 1 year, $4 million.
Okay.
To play with the other Connor again. They'll like that.
Yeah, and then he'll cash in because he'll score a bunch of goals.
Yep.
So apparently Alex Lyon is going to Detroit. 2 years, 900K.
Okay, this Gross of Newsday, I can't think of his first name.
Andrew
Gross is reporting that on Twitter that Alex DeBrincat is possible from Ottawa with J.G. Pajot going back.
Interesting.
Hey,
Look, if they
amongst other pieces. If
listen, if they
can
can pull that off, that's a big deal because Pajot's been really underperforming offensively.
Yeah.
agreed.
Pajot
Well,
going back to Ottawa, huh?
for the money, and then there would also be, of course, other players in the mix as well.
Right.
Maybe that's where Wallstrom goes.
Maybe.
And see, that's the thing. Where I don't want to trade Wallstrom, I would trade Wallstrom for the Brinket. I would.
Yeah, for the Brinket, sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, listen, if the Islanders do this, it does resuscitate them to some degree.
Agreed. A Horvat, the Brinket, Barzell line is interesting.
All right, but let's talk about Horvat for a minute. You
Sure.
realize Bo Horvat is not the guy that they paid for. Like, you know that, right?
He's probably a 55 to 60 point center.
Justin
Right.
Hall is going to the Red Wings on a 3-year contract.
Yes!
3.4 million AAV. Chris Johnston.
Whoa. 4 million AAV?
Wow, Scotty Mayfield's got-
3.4 million AAV.
Throw your money away, Red Wings.
Scotty Mayfield just got $7 million a year.
Oh,
No, he's not getting 7.
I'm joking,
Stop.
but Justin
I know.
Wall is a Canadian parking cone.
I
You guys
I
have
know.
parking cones in Canada?
personal opinion,
I don't know. That's a good question.
how can you pay $3.4 million for a defenseman who sucks? And he sucks.
Okay, Mike. But,
Is
but
that your
every
scouting report?
top 6
Yes,
defense,
he
all top
sucks.
6 defense in the NHL make $3 million. Like if you're a top 6 defense,
You're right, Ak. You're absolutely right.
Yep,
Yeah,
you're
like
right.
you're
I've seen
thinking
nothing,
about-
by the way, I've seen nothing yet about the Flyers and Max Comtois. I've had no confirmation.
No, I
on
haven't
that.
seen anything on it either.
Yeah, that's not. I don't know where that is coming from, but it doesn't. I haven't seen anything yet. It makes sense if it happens. It makes sense, but yeah.
I got
Wow.
you.
I expected him to get a contract because he's a right-handed
Oh,
defenseman.
Panthers signed. Panthers signed Anthony Stolarz, 1 year, $1 million
Yeah,
contract.
No, you gotta say it's Anthony Stolars.
Anthony.
Anthony Stolars. It's
Wait,
like the perfect Northeast
He's from
name.
Cherry Hill. They don't really talk that way in Cherry Hill, though.
No,
I
I
know,
don't know.
I'm all for the Cherry Hill people. That's my home.
They speak the King's English down there. Look, I'm only on like twice a year now. I just come back. I come here with no
Ian
filters.
Cole, 1 year deal with Vancouver for $3 million.
Oh, we have
That's
a
a
trade.
oh my god, that's a
We have a trade,
Vancouver
by the
deal.
way. We do have a
Yeah.
trade.
Okay, what's the trade?
Dallas is trading Colin Miller to the New Jersey Devils for a 5th-round pick in 2025.
I take it. Colin Miller can
that's a
still do
value
a little
deal.
bit.
That's
Yeah.
a value deal. Yeah,
It
nothing
is.
wrong with that.
But Vancouver, I don't even know what the Canucks are doing anymore. I
Are
don't.
they? No, do they know what they're doing? They had such a
No.
nice little nucleus there a few years ago where I
Troy-
thought they
Yeah,
were
like
really
3 years ago, things were looking
Yeah.
up, and then all of a sudden they weren't.
Troy Stetcher is
He's
signing
cooking.
with the Coyotes. That's from Dan Murphy.
They got to
Sportsnet.
spend money. They got to spend some money, right?
They do.
How close are they to the?
Matt Duchene heading to Dallas, which I've heard a little bit of in the last couple of minutes while we were talking. So that could be the Dallas.
That could really help them. Actually, that could be.
Yeah.
That would be very good for them.
Yes, it would.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
The Islanders also have interest in Matt Duchene. My source says Dallas and Islanders are the 2 teams.
Yeah, but the problem is if it becomes a bidding thing, the Islanders. will
Yeah,
lose
we know
that.
who's winning that one, right? Also,
Right.
Also, no state
Mhm.
tax in Dallas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing about Matt Duchene. Like, from what I understand, he's just not. The Preds were really upset with him, honestly, because he just didn't engage. Like he was there part of the team. It just felt like he was always half-assing everything, and like just not, his attitude just wasn't great. It's not a
Mike,
bad guy.
Mike Riley is signing with Florida, 1 year, $1 million per Dreger.
Gustav
Yeah.
Nyquist to Nashville, 2 years, 3.18.
The tank is over, Mike.
Sorry.
Gustav Nyquist to Nashville. I guess the tank is over.
Oh yeah, he makes a difference.
Oh, come on. You're just the worst today. Like, they're obviously.
Well, no,
He's always
Russ, I'm extremely happy now because now Toronto gets to take advantage of Justin Hall the next 3 years.
I
Because
encourage people who just jumped on now, rewind the show to the very
Dmitry
beginning.
Orlov to Carolina.
Oh,
Okay.
Whoa.
Dreger.
Okay.
So-
Orlov to Carolina.
that's
So they
nice.
could-
I like Roloff a lot.
That's good. They didn't pay for Carlson.
It's such a very Carolina kind of move.
Absolutely. I
course.
think I would rather have him than Carlson.
No, but the idea is they checked in on Carlson. We knew they weren't going to pay the price, and then they went with Orlov.
Yeah.
Short-term deal. So what he's doing, I bet you it's a 1 year deal, and then he turns around when the money gets bigger in free
Right.
agency next year.
Mhm.
Uma.
No, but it's a good deal for them. But they still lack in net. They
So
do.
okay, so now
They do.
they're adding Orlov on a maybe
It's a
1 or
short-term
2
deal,
year-
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, 1 or 2 year deal, and they're getting D'Angelo on a 1 year deal.
Well, Carolina does have Yaniv Peretz too.
Well, okay. Are they getting
Sorry.
D'Angelo? We think they're
I
getting
got
D'Angelo.
I got my Quinnipiac puck right
Hasn't
here.
been
No,
announced
but
yet.
no, but we should say this. We think they're getting D'Angelo. We don't know. I mean, you don't know until
Yeah,
July 8th.
not until July 8th. We're not going to know.
Dan, are you a big fan of the Connor Clifton signing for 3 years with the
I
Sabres?
love Connor. I actually that was a guy I was thinking about as a Mayfield replacement for someone. How much is it per year for Clifton?
3.33.
Yeah, I like Clifton a lot. I like his,
pricey.
I do like Connor Clifton a lot. I
I'm
think
putting
he's
this out
a
now. I'm
really
saying the
good stand-on
Orlov
center.
signing. I'm saying right now the Orlov signing makes my eyebrow go up a bit on the D'Angelo trade. We'll see. a little bit.
Well, I mean,
So-
unless,
It's gonna make people panic, Anthony, for no reason.
What's that? Yeah, I know. It's
Just
making a little bit
wait.
on the D'Angelo trade, but
I'll give you a-
On hockey
we'll see.
Twitter for no
We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to say we'll see come July 8th.
Dan, I'll give you a guy that somebody told me like Rangers, but I also think the Islanders would be interested, and that's Garnet Hathaway, because that is a Lane Lambert Lou kind of guy. And he is, at least he's he's like a younger Clutterbuck. And
He
he
is a
can
younger
score.
quarterback. He's a complete
Yeah.
crap bag. Yes.
2 years at 7.75 for
Who's
Orlov.
this? 2 years, 7.75.
Yeah, that's their limit. They're not going to pay more than that.
I was just texted that the Leafs are leading the way and getting close on Bertuzzi.
Yep.
That's a smart
Goodbye,
move.
William Nylander. See you later.
5
I'm
years,
going to make Flyer fans
35
just lose
million.
their shit now.
5 years, 35
And
million.
you know what? I think you're about right. I think it's going to be 5 years at about 7 million per, because that's what they're paying Nylander right now. And if they trade Nylander, it plugs right into the salary structure. They're
Okay, but let's talk about the difference in players here, because
Yeah.
Nylander is still more proven than Tyler Bertuzzi in the playoffs. He
I
is.
agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Russ, I agree.
What do you know, Eck? It's a fact.
I agree. Whoa. First of all, Bertuzzi has a whole 7 games worth of playoff.
I know.
He did play well, but William Nylander has played well at times, and he's been a disappearing act at times. So when
Right.
you the good guy and the bad guy,
I
When
would
you
say
get
the last couple, he's been good.
yes.
There's one thing I
no,
want
no,
to
no,
you,
no,
Mike.
that-
You're gonna hate what they get back for Nylander. Like beyond, they're not gonna get anything near. what they get.
I'll take him. I take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. This is what I
Get him
mean.
for very little.
Canucks just announced Teddy Bluger 1 year, 1.9 million.
Hold on.
That's a
hold on
good sign.
Hold on a
That's a
second.
good signing.
So, because more than likely, any trade with Nylander is going to be a sign and trade, because any team that's going to want to trade for him is going to want to get him for 8 years. So,
Sure.
so Pierre-Luc Dubois gets 3 pretty good players in a deal between Winnipeg and LA. Severson, New Jersey gets something significant for a guy who they weren't going to sign. But William Nylander from Toronto is going to get squat. This is what I mean about
100. You're 100% correct, Mike.
it's horse crap. It is
No, they won't get. They'll get a
complete
first. They'll get a first round pick for him.
They will.
Yes. No, okay. I'll tell you what they're going to get. They're going to get the
Oliver
same.
Wahlstrom. He's nice. Got a good shot.
Okay, Dan. They're going to get the same deal for Nylander that the LA Kings gave Minnesota for Kevin Fiala. They're going to get a first round pick and a prospect like a Brock Faber. They get that deal and they replace him with Bertuzzi. There's no effect on the cap, and they get assets. That is a deal that is constructive for the Leafs. They are
That's a good
not
deal.
going to
No,
get nothing.
that would be a good deal. No, yeah, you're right.
If that happens.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen.
And here's the thing. Look, I know Nylander's been a disappointing act, but like I said, he is consistently 60+ points a season. I need that in the regular season. I
You
need
do.
it. Yeah, I don't
You
care.
do.
He can disappear all he wants in the playoffs. We'll get
Dan?
Amelia's back.
Dan, if it's William Nylander for Wallstrom in a first round pick, I sign up right friggin'
All right,
now.
let me call Lou. I think I have
Okay.
it speed though.
Here's this is another
He uses
thing.
a rotary phone.
This is another really big one from a source that I very much trust in Pittsburgh, that they are closing in on Erik Karlsson.
Who is?
Wow.
That's
Pittsburgh?
a total Pittsburgh move.
Well,
Shouldn't they get a goalie?
They should.
Dubas.
They can.
Dubas.
They will.
The chatter is, and I don't know if this is 100%.
Oh,
but
Nylander to Pittsburgh makes sense too. Sorry.
no problem. The chatter is that one of the things that caused Dubas some problems originally with MLSNE, with the board and Shanahan, was that he wanted to trade for Carlson. He had a some sort of deal that could have been made and that was not signed off on, or they just wouldn't go there. And that was the beginning of everything falling apart with Dubas and in Toronto. For Toronto, it made no sense. For Pittsburgh, I mean, if you're trading, say, Petrie in this deal because you're giving away 2 years at like 6.25, and then it might make some sense. Because San Jose just needs to get rid of him. I mean, that 4-year albatross, even though he's the Norris Trophy winner, the 11 point whatever is just too much for a team that's not going to contend. It just is.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
They're nowhere close. They're nowhere close to a playoff team yet.
Yeah, no, they aren't.
I saw Morgan Geeky just signed somewhere, but I didn't see where.
Rangers.
Boston 2 times.
Bruins. Sorry, the Bruins.
Yeah.
Definitely Bruins.
And
So
is
with
Lucic official to Boston?
Yes, he's official.
Okay. Follow-up
They
question.
have a
Why?
press release out and everything now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's official.
Now it's funny because Dan, I predicted that the Sabres were not going to make it, because there was so much talk over the last 2 weeks. They're going to trade for Pesce. They're going to trade for Hannafin. They're gonna be in the bidding for Matt Dumba or Radko Gudas.
Oh, here's a move up from Jeff Marek. Ryan Paling to Philly 1 year at $1.4 million.
That's a good risk. I mean,
That's a good risk.
There's your fourth line center.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's a perfectly good risk.
that's a good risk. But I was just saying they're going to make all these moves. And the thing is with the Sabres, they didn't want to tie up long-term money on a defenseman when they're signing Dahlin, when they're signing Power, when they've already signed Samuelson, and the moves that they made today. I knew that Eric Johnson was somebody that made a ton of sense. Stanley Cup winner, right-handed, leader. They wouldn't have to make a long-term commitment. They've got cap room this year, so they signed him for $3.25, and they signed Clifton. Now their defense, you've got Ilya Lyubushkin on the bottom pairing with Clifton. You've got Johnson playing with Power. You've got Samuelson, and you've got Dahlin. Their defense is pretty damn good now.
That's a pretty good defense. Absolutely. They just need their forwards to play defense now too. I like what I've seen from Buffalo, but they were completely a one-trick pony scoring off the rush.
Yeah,
They were not a team that were going to win battles down low. They need a goalie too. You're right.
They need a goalie, and I think they can get a goalie. I do not trust now. Okay, their defense will be better. So it'll take some of the burden off the goaltender, but you cannot put all the burden on a 21-year-old goaltender coming out of Northeastern, no matter how good we think Devin Levi is. There's no way you do that.
You just got to get a competent starting goalie there. It even can be short term just to get,
right.
You're right.
Yeah. So now, well, I'm really surprised at the short term on that Orlov deal. 7.75. He was not going to get paid that much anywhere else.
That's good cash for 2 years.
Yeah. And
Anthony, I like this. Elon Musk just put up there to address extreme levels of data problems today. Verified accounts limited to reading 6,000 posts a day, unverified 600, new unverified 300. Temporary limits on Twitter right now. That's what's happening, by the way.
Well,
I deleted my my Twitter account. It's one of the best things I've ever done for my mental health.
Dan, this is the thing. It's like, okay, of course Twitter is having problems. It's the beginning of not only NHL free agency but NBA free agency on the same day.
Yeah. Oh, can I respond to that too? Because Kyle Kuzma signed like a 4-year deal for $105 million, and Connor McDavid makes what a year?
12.5. Okay.
Kyle Kuzma makes 20-something million a year to sit on the bench, and it's just like the disparity in salaries.
The NBA makes 5 times what? 5 times.
No, I understand that, but I would love to see the NHL's books because they claim to be, $6 billion every year. Yet the cap is just going. You can only blame COVID for so long. At some point, the cap has got to go up, and you had a new team come in. So where was that money? I don't know. It just seems weird. I just don't trust the numbers that they're
Interesting
saying.
from Pierre. I'm going to be checking out here in a second, guys. Pierre says the Orlov sign does not take Carolina out of the Erik Karlsson trade talks. Carolina still has interest in Karlsson.
Okay,
Michael Bunting, by the way, is signing with Carolina 3 this is from James Nichols. It says hearing. He works, I think, for the fourth period.
He works for New Jersey Hockey now, but
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, 3 years. He's saying it is. Yep.
3 years. Did they say it? What?
I didn't give the number. Just 3 years. Just 3 years.
That's a high risk, high reward signing. He could fit in well with skill players.
I'll say this because I really like Michael Bunting as a player, and I didn't get the he was like the favorite Leaf player other than the core four people until he did something in the playoffs that was regrettable, and then all of a sudden he was public enemy number one. That guy played really well.
Pacioretty to the Capitals.
Who got traded to Capitals?
Pacioretty
with the Capitals.
Yeah, that guy played really well with Matthews and really well with Tavares. And as we know, with players who it's sort of tough to play with guys with talent. Look how many times it took them to find the right guys to play with Sidney Crosby. The Leafs will miss Michael Bunting. He's a pain in the ass to play against, and he will help Carolina out. That's a good signing, and I'm sad to see him. So right now the Leafs have lost Bunting, they've lost O'Reilly, they've lost Shen. They're probably going to lose Achari. I haven't heard anything about them being in on Achari. And right now, the only thing that they've added, Dan, is Ryan Reeves. Now, I understand why they added Ryan Reeves, and I think he'll be effective. And if they do sign a Bertuzzi and then trade Nylander, I think they're going to be just like the Rangers. They're going to add a bunch of guys on short-term 1-year contracts. And, but right now Leaf fans are like, oh my God, we're losing everybody. Calm down. We're 2 hours into free agency.
Exactly. You still have your first line center in Austin Matthews. You still have your third line center in John Tavares. You guys are in really good shape.
Well, nice try. Their third line center is David Camp. Their second line center is Tavares, and they made me.
I know that was a shot.
I know. He scored a hat trick in the playoffs last year.
Congratulations.
They only paid him $66 million to do that.
I missed that in the award show. I didn't see that moment.
Oh God. Let's see here. Carson Soucy to Vancouver, 3 years at $3.25 million.
That was him to Vancouver. Been rumored for at least a week.
Forever.
Yeah, and so they've signed Ian Cole for 3 and Soucy for $3.25. So they basically the money that they cleared out by trading by buying out Ekman Larson, they used on Soucy and Cole. Now Cole is a good stay-at-home defenseman.
Yes.
Steady. And it's only a 1-year deal, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm still a little questioning how good Soucy really is. I mean, he benefited from getting a lot of playing time in Seattle. I just don't know how. I'm not sold on how good he really is. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either.
I don't think any of us really do. I think that's a tough one.
Yeah.
So Pacioretty got $2 million from Washington with another $2 million in signing. Okay, when Blake
Wheeler,
was
the guy I was thinking of too, as a 1-year deal with the Islanders. I thought that would have been a good fit.
But when Blake Wheeler gets $800,000, Dan, and Pacioretty gets potentially $4 million, I'll take Blake Wheeler.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Keep Blake Wheeler away from your younger players. You might bully him a little.
Yeah, it really depends on Pacioretty. If Pacioretty just does come back healthy, then he's still a player. But that's.
I think it's also the difference between a shot first forward and a more of a finesse distributing forward as well.
True.
If Pacioretty's healthy, he's gonna be second on the team in shot attempts.
He'll bring a lot. Yeah, he'll bring a lot to your team. Exactly. If you have him in that spot, it definitely brings a ton to your team.
Right now, Mike just got a call from William Nylander. Actually, William Nylander's he just got a call from William Nylander's lawyer. We'll cease and desist.
And Barry Trotz's lawyer. Yep, one of those. Because
all right, guys. I unfortunately have to run. I have to go watch the monstrosity of the New York Mets, but I will try and jump back at some point.
Yeah, come back anytime. Thanks, bud.
Okay.
Yep.
See you guys.
Great seeing you.
And I have to go as well, gentlemen. But it's been great talking.
It's been real. It's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun.
Yeah.
You got Justin Hall elsewhere though, Mike. So that should be.
Yeah. So everything is beautiful.
So now you have to go
Everything-
find somebody else to be mad at on the Leafs.
Ryan Reeves. There you go.
Right.
Russ is done for the day. He he
Okay.
was wasted. So I don't know. Maybe we can bow out and come back later if something
Yeah, I
big
think we should
happens.
do that for a bit because I've got so many things and I think that's a great idea. Let's just do that for a while. Yeah, because we got so many different things happening at once. That would be hard for two of us just to do the show.
Yeah.
But stay tuned to the hockey rumor tracker. I'm just gonna be updating that every couple seconds so that I get things just like I've been talking about on here. So it'll make it a lot better. Make it a lot better, I think. So stay
All
tuned.
right.
We'll be back. All right, thanks, guys. Remember, I thought it was just hockey.
Let's wait.